Chapter 29:36. Why haven't you left? Emo Qingyun asked with a faint smile as he came to Guan Yi and the others. Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Guan Yi said respectfully, "We came with Senior Emo, so of course we have to leave with Emo Qingyun." The people around Guan Yi nodded their heads when they heard what he said. "We know each other, so you don't have to be so formal." Emo Qingyun didn't care much about the change in attitude of Guan Yi and the others. He waved his hand casually and said, "I just killed Zhong Hankai. If you continue to stay with me, you may be hated by the 4 dragon palaces of Qinghai. It's not a good thing for you, so let's go our separate ways." Emo Qingyun didn't wait for Guan Yi and the others to reply before he turned and walked forward. When Emo Qingyun walked forward, a surge of Saint Power was released from his body and turned into a Saint Power Pegasus shadow. Riding on the Saint Power Pegasus shadow, Emo Qingyun's figure swayed a few times before he left the small world. He didn't even use the teleportation formation. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, the expressions of Guan Yi and the others trembled, and intense shock emerged in their eyes. This method of Emo Qingyun's really frightened them badly. "I can't see through Senior Emo anymore. I didn't live in vain to know someone like Senior Emo. I can't believe that even Zhong Hankai was killed by him. Fortunately, we didn't offend him before." "It's not that we didn't offend him, but Senior Mo didn't care about us." Guan Yi and the others sighed and left the small world. Guan Yi and the others left the small world, but they didn't leave immediately. They wanted to continue exploring. After parting with Guan Yi and the others, Emo Qingyun went deep into the small world. After getting the Pegasus crossing realms in the small world, he was looking forward to the treasures in the Dragon Stream in the Starry Sea. In Emo Qingyun's opinion, if there was a cultivation technique like the Pegasus crossing realms, there should be other rare treasures. Boom boom boom, not long after Emo Qingyun left the small world, the sound of fierce fighting came from the depths of the Dragon Stream in the Star Sea. Hearing the intense sounds of battle, Emo Qingyun's expression changed. His eyes flashed with anticipation as he said, "Such intense sounds of battle, it must be the location of a powerful demon spirit. I wonder what kind of small world will be connected to after this demon spirit was killed." With this thought in mind, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed, rushing towards the bottom of the Starry Sea Dragon Stream. Swish 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 Emo Qingyun rode on the Pegasus shadow. His figure flashed a few times in midair, and he arrived at the bottom of the galaxy Dragon Stream. When he arrived at the bottom of the galaxy Dragon Stream, a scene that shocked Emo Qingyun appeared before his eyes. Previously, a demon spirit that was tens of thousands of feet long was fighting fiercely with the 5 of them. The aftermath of the battle was earth-shattering. This is an Emperor Realm Dragon spirit. Looking at the 3,000-meter-long demon spirit, Emo Qingyun recognized its origin, and the shock in his heart grew. He didn't expect that the people of the 3 factions would join forces to deal with the Emperor Realm Dragon spirit. It was no wonder that after killing Zhong Hankai for so long, no one from the 4 dragon palaces of the Azure Sea had come to avenge him. It turned out that they had come to deal with the Emperor Realm Dragon spirit and didn't have time to deal with him. Logically speaking, with the strength of the 3 factions, they shouldn't be able to contend with the Emperor Realm Dragon spirit. Looking at the scene in front of him, a strong sense of doubt arose in Emo Qingyun's heart. Immediately, Emo Qingyun focused his mind and observed the situation in front of him. "I see." Under Emo Qingyun's observation, he nodded and understood the reason. He thought to himself, "It turns out that this Emperor Realm Dragon spirit only has the cultivation of the Emperor Realm, but it doesn't have the corresponding Great Tao. It can't display the true strength of the Emperor Realm." Emo Qingyun understood this point, and the doubt in his heart immediately had an answer. From the current situation, it will take at most half an hour for the Emperor Realm Dragon spirit to be killed. After analyzing the situation in front of him, Emo Qingyun had a clear understanding of the outcome. At the same time, Emo Qingyun formed a plan. Although the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit hasn't comprehended the Great Tao and can't display the true strength of the Emperor Realm, it still has the cultivation of the Emperor Realm. It can't be compared to ordinary quasi-emperors. The 7 people of the 3 factions may have joined forces to kill the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit, but they're heavily injured and can't display their full strength. When they kill the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit, I can take the opportunity to enter the small world and reap some benefits. Emo Qingyun pondered for a moment before he decided not to think too much about it. He just waited silently at the side. Emo Qingyun's observation didn't attract the attention of the 3 factions. In their opinion, a quasi-realm Lord Kid wouldn't affect them at all. Time passed slowly as Emo Qingyun waited. As time passed, the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit's aura began to weaken. It's about time. Sensing that the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit's aura was nearing the point of collapse, Emo Qingyun pulled himself together. At this moment, the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit suddenly roared and its aura skyrocketed. Then, Emo Qingyun saw the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit crazily charge towards the 3 factions. Bang bang bang, under the attack of the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit, the people from the 3 forces were all sent flying, their injuries worsening. After sending the 3 factions flying, the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit swung its tail and disappeared without a trace. Escaped. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun's expression was one of shock. He was extremely surprised by this. He didn't expect this to happen at the most crucial moment. After a short moment of surprise, Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate and immediately chased after the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit. To him, the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit was already at his mouth. How could he let it escape? Emo Qingyun rode on the Saint Power Pegasus. His figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. Whoosh! When Emo Qingyun's figure appeared again, he caught up to the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit and blocked its path. Seeing that its path was blocked, the Dragon Spirit was enraged. It glared at Emo Qingyun with wide eyes. It didn't expect that a quasi-sector Lord Ant would dare to block its path. Roar! The Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit roared and attacked Emo Qingyun. Seeing the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit attacking, Emo Qingyun wasn't afraid at all and took the initiative to meet it. Then, Emo Qingyun and the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit began to fight crazily. Emo Qingyun and the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit's fight immediately caused a huge commotion. Such a commotion immediately attracted people who were looking for opportunities in the surroundings. Soon, a group of people came over and observed the fight between Emo Qingyun and the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit. When they recognized Emo Qingyun, they immediately froze in place, not daring to believe their eyes. Chapter 29:37. At this moment, the group that came here was Guan Yi and the others who separated from Emo Qingyun. Guan Yi and the others didn't expect to see Emo Qingyun again in such an occasion. Senior Emo, it's actually Senior Emo fighting. The demon spirit that's fighting with Senior Emo seems to be the legendary Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit. It's too terrifying. Even a powerful Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit isn't Senior Mo's match. Guan Yi and the others were shocked when they recognized Emo Qingyun. They thought that Emo Qingyun had used all his strength to kill Zhong Hankai. They didn't expect that Emo Qingyun was still holding back. Someone's here so soon. Emo Qingyun immediately sensed the arrival of Guan Yi and the others, and a sense of surprise rose in his heart. If people from the 3 forces came, it would be difficult for him to kill the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit. At the same time, he would be in a bad situation and his future actions would be hindered. If people from the 3 forces saw his strength, they would definitely join forces to guard against him. After all, to the 3 forces, Emo Qingyun was an outsider. It's them, what a coincidence! Recognizing Guan Yi and the others, Emo Qingyun's expression improved a little, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. To them, if the people here were Guan Yi and the others, it was no doubt the best result. In any case, he had already revealed enough strength in front of Guan Yi and the others, and he didn't mind revealing more. Since Guan Yi and the others are here, the others will definitely come soon. I have to speed up. Although he knew that it was Guan Yi and the others, Mo Qingyun didn't let down his guard and his attacks became fierce. As Mo Qingyun's attacks strengthened, the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit was suppressed and slowly fell into a passive state. After suppressing the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit, Mo Qingyun didn't let down his guard at all. Instead, he became more vigilant. Just now, at the last moment of the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit, that burst of power was extremely terrifying. It was better to be safe than sorry. What if the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit could still unleash that kind of power at the end of its life? My advantage is speed. I can use my speed to restrain it so that it can't fight back. In order to prevent the Dragon Spirit from retaliating before its death, Mo Qingyun was extremely careful, constantly circling the Dragon Spirit and attacking it. In the face of Mo Qingyun's rapid movements, the Dragon Spirit wanted to counterattack but couldn't find a target. This made it both angry and aggrieved, and it could only roar loudly. But even so, it couldn't change the fact that its injuries were getting worse and worse. 50 breaths later, Mo Qingyun didn't want to waste any more time when he saw that the Dragon Spirit was completely defenseless. This was because more and more people were gathering around them. He wasn't sure when the three forces would arrive, or if they would stop him from killing the Dragon Spirit. Die. Looking at the dying Dragon Spirit, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold, and he dealt a fatal blow to it. Mo Qingyun held the 9-oxen divine sword, riding on the Saint Power Pegasus, and his figure flashed, directly piercing through the Dragon Spirit's head. Bang! Under Mo Qingyun's sword, the Dragon Spirit's head exploded, and its body began to fall. At the same time, the aura it emitted was also rapidly weakening, and a mysterious power was emitted from its body. This power was emitted, and turned into a portal, connecting to a small world. To Mo Qingyun's surprise, although the portal was formed, the body of the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit didn't dissipate. Strange! Looking at the body of the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock and he was puzzled. Normally when a demon spirit is killed, its body would dissipate and become a part of the portal, but this one was killed, and its body was preserved. This is too strange. While Mo Qingyun was puzzled, he didn't think much and attacked the body of the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit. Then, the 1,000-foot-long body of the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit was taken away by Mo Qingyun. Seeing Mo Qingyun kill the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit and take away its body, everyone was stunned. Did I see wrongly? Did he really kill the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit? What's up with his cultivation level? Why is he only a quasi-sector lord? Do you even need to ask? He must be hiding his true cultivation level. No, he didn't hide his cultivation level. His cultivation level is quasi-sector lord. How is this possible? Looking at Mo Qingyun in midair, the surrounding people were shocked. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Seeing everyone's expression, Guan Yi and the others shook their heads with a bitter smile. Their feelings were extremely complicated. The more time they spent with Mo Qingyun, the more they realized how terrifying Mo Qingyun was. The small world has appeared. Raising the body of the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit, Mo Qingyun saw the small world appear. He immediately smiled with joy. Then, he became excited as well, and a strong sense of anticipation arose in his heart. The portal of the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit was connected to the small world. There must be extraordinary treasures. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was looking forward to it, a group of people sighed. When those people arrived, the leader of the group looked excited. He looked at the teleportation portal and said, "There's the Dragon Spirit's chi here, there's also the teleportation portal. Could it be that the Dragon Spirit was killed, and that teleportation portal was formed by it? Very likely. I didn't expect the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit to be killed, who has the ability to do so. Don't worry so much, since the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit was killed and turned into a portal to the small world. Let's enter the small world first. That's right, let's enter the small world first. We'll talk about other things after we get the treasures. The group of people from the three forces didn't stop at all and flew towards the portal. Seeing the three forces arrive, the surrounding people immediately retreated and opened up a path for them. They came so quickly, this is a bit troublesome. Mo Qingyun frowned when he saw the arrival of the people from the three forces. His mood became a little heavy. If he entered the portal now, he would undoubtedly attract the attention of the three forces and become the target of public criticism. More importantly, he had just fought a tough battle with the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit. He only had 70% of his battle strength left. Although the three forces were heavily injured, it would still be difficult for him to fight them. I'll rest and recover first, then I'll slowly settle the score with them. Mo Qingyun weighed in his heart. He made a decision to give up the direct confrontation between the three forces. He was confident that the speed at which he recovered his saint power was much faster than the three forces. Once his saint energy had recovered, it would be much easier for him to deal with the people from the three forces. Chapter 29:38. Mo Qingyun entered the crowd and did not attract the attention of the three forces. Or perhaps, the three forces were not in the mood to pay attention to him at all. When Mo Qingyun discovered that the people from the three factions did not notice him at all, he was no longer worried. Let's find a place to recover first, then enter the small world. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and came to Guan Yi and the others. He said to them, I need to recover for a while. Protect me for a while. Yes. Guan Yi and the others did not think too much about Mo Qingyun's order and immediately agreed. Then, Mo Qingyun sat down at the foot of a mountain and began to cultivate to recover. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was immersed in cultivation, Guan Yi and the others tensed up and stood guard not far away from him. To them, protecting Mo Qingyun this time was an opportunity to show their goodwill to Mo Qingyun. If they missed this opportunity, they would not have any interaction with Mo Qingyun in the future. Seeing Guan Yi and the others' actions, the surrounding people were envious and wished they could exchange places with them. As far as they were concerned, being able to befriend a powerhouse like Mo Qingyun was a tremendous opportunity. Feeling the others' envious gazes, the smiles on Guan Yi and the others' faces immediately became wider. Then, they focused even more and guarded Mo Qingyun's surroundings. Then, Mo Qingyun immersed himself in cultivating to recover under the protection of Guan Yi and the others. A few hours later, after a few hours of cultivation, the saint power that he used in the battle had completely recovered. After his battle prowess recovered to its peak state, Mo Qingyun withdrew from his cultivation. He stood up and walked towards Guan Yi and the others. He said, Thank you for your trouble this time. I owe you a favor. If you need my help in the future, you can crush this jade talisman to find me. After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he took out a jade talisman and handed it to Guan Yi and the others. Thank you, Senior Mo. Looking at the jade talisman that Mo Qingyun handed over, Guan Yi and the others were excited. They felt like they were going to cry tears of joy. After handing over the jade talisman to Guan Yi and the others, Mo Qingyun didn't speak any further and directly turned around and left. It had already been several hours since the three forces entered the small world. He had to enter the small world as soon as possible, lest they beat him to it. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times before he entered the teleportation gate and arrived in the miniature world. The space of this small world was clearly much larger than the previous few. Mo Qingyun looked around and saw no end in sight. There were only huge mountain ranges. Roar! As Mo Qingyun scanned his surroundings, a deep dragon roar suddenly appeared in his mind. Following that, a strong suction force acted on his body. This feeling. It's as if something is summoning me. Sensing the strange feeling, Emo Qingyun was shocked and immediately looked in the direction of the summoning. Emo Qingyun thought for a moment, then rode on the Saint Power Pegasus and flew towards the source of the summoning. Swoosh, 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 Emo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times, and he arrived at the source of the summoning. He saw a huge rock cave. Standing outside the cave, Emo Qingyun could clearly feel a powerful energy fluctuation emanating from it. What a terrifying power, even stronger than the Emperor Realm Dragon's spirit. Sensing the energy fluctuation in the rock cave, Emo Qingyun's expression immediately tensed and he became vigilant. Given his current strength, it was still very dangerous for him to face a peak Great Emperor. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Standing at the entrance of the rock cave, Emo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before he finally walked in. Once he entered the rock cave, the summoning feeling on his body immediately became stronger. Immediately, Emo Qingyun followed the summoning and went deeper into the rock cave. What on earth is summoning me? While Emo Qingyun was moving forward, he was also pondering in his mind. He was curious and puzzled. As Emo Qingyun pondered, he came to the bottom of the rock cave and saw a huge dragon horse corpse. What kind of monster is this? Its aura is so terrifying. Looking at the dragon horse corpse in front of him, Emo Qingyun's face was filled with shock and he was stunned on the spot. He was sure that the dragon horse in front of him was definitely stronger than the Emperor Realm when it was alive. Could it be from the Heaven Realm? While Emo Qingyun was shocked, he was also pondering the situation. In his opinion, only the mysterious and distant Heaven Realm could have such a powerful existence. As Emo Qingyun was thinking, a 10-winged dragon horse shadow flew out of the dragon horse corpse. Lucky little guy, congratulations on obtaining my inheritance. As the dragon horse shadow flew out of the corpse, it showed a gratified look and nodded at Emo Qingyun. Hearing the dragon horse shadow's words, Emo Qingyun was confused. He did not understand. Seeing Emo Qingyun's confusion, the dragon horse shadow raised its head and emitted a terrifying power. Roar! Immediately, the holy power Pegasus under Emo Qingyun jumped violently. Seeing the holy power Pegasus's performance, Emo Qingyun finally understood why he felt the summoning. It turned out that the heavenly horse crossing realm that he cultivated was related to the dragon horse corpse in front of him. 10-winged dragon horse? After resolving his doubts, Mo Qingyun's mind worked quickly and he immediately guessed a possibility. He said, could it be that the heavenly horse crossing realm doesn't only have 5 layers, but 6? The 6th layer is the 10-winged dragon horse? Seeing Emo Qingyun's expression change, the dragon horse shadow nodded in praise. As if it could tell what Emo Qingyun was thinking, it said, little guy, you've guessed correctly. The heavenly horse crossing realm that you cultivate is indeed derived from my Taisher dragon soaring horse technique. Taisher's technique. Emo Qingyun was surprised once again when he heard the dragon horse shadow's words. He had learnt from Enchun that Taisher was the beginning of all living beings. They were all born from the fortune of the world. In other words, the dragon horse before him was a Taisher. This discovery truly frightened Emo Qingyun. He was unable to return to his senses for quite a while. He had never thought that his fortuitous encounter this time would be related to a Taisher. Little guy, the senses of my soul conflict with this world. I can't exist for long. Prepare to accept my legacy. While Emo Qingyun was still in shock, the dragon horse phantom used an urgent tone to remind Emo Qingyun while it was asleep. Afterwards, Emo Qingyun saw the dragon horse shadow cast out a strange inscription. As soon as the rune appeared, it turned into an incantation and flew into the top of his head. After the chant entered his head, Emo Qingyun's head immediately buzzed. He experienced intense pain. Chapter 29:39. After an unknown amount of time, Emo Qingyun regained consciousness. When Emo Qingyun regained consciousness, the dragon horse shadow had already disappeared, and the dragon horse corpse was no longer emitting any aura. Looks like the inheritance is over. Seeing that everything had returned to normal, Emo Qingyun nodded in understanding, roughly guessing what had happened. Then, Emo Qingyun focused his attention on the cultivation technique in his mind. Under Emo Qingyun's probing, he discovered that there was an additional golden light dot in his mind. This golden light dot was sent into his mind by the dragon horse shadow. Taisher Soaring Dragon Horse Transformation Technique. After observing the golden light dot, Emo Qingyun had a clear understanding of its content. After knowing the golden light dot's content, Emo Qingyun ignored it. With his current comprehension of Heavenly Horse Crossing Realm, there was still a long way to go before he could cultivate the Taisher Soaring Dragon Horse Transformation Technique. My cultivation has actually broken through to the World Lord realm. When Emo Qingyun probed the Taisher Soaring Dragon Horse Transformation Technique, he was surprised to discover that his cultivation had actually broken through. This discovery was a pleasant surprise to him, and he couldn't help feeling excited. Now that his cultivation had broken through to the World Lord realm, he had more confidence heading to the Buzhou Palace. In that case, it's time for me to leave this place. Seeing that his goal had been achieved, Emo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. Looking at the dragon horse corpse in front of him, Emo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before putting it into the Fortune mainland. Then, his figure flickered, flying out of the stone cave. Emo Qingyun's figure flickered a few times, and he was already outside the stone cave, ready to explore other places. This small world was very big, and he wasn't sure if there were any other places to hide treasures. At this moment, just as Emo Qingyun left the stone cave, he saw people from the three forces rushing in his direction. When Emo Qingyun saw them, they also noticed his presence, and each of them revealed a surprised expression. Someone actually beat us to it and found the treasury of the small world. This brat just came out. He must have taken the treasure. A kid at the initial stage of the World Lord realm actually dares to lay his hands on the treasures here. Truly courting death. This kid seems a little familiar. He seemed to be a quasi-sector lord before. In just a few hours, he broke through from the quasi-sector lord realm to the sector lord realm. He must have obtained a precious treasure. Everyone observed Emo Qingyun and noticed the change in Emo Qingyun. His expression immediately turned cold. Soon after, they surrounded Emo Qingyun, cutting off Emo Qingyun's escape route. Surrounding Emo Qingyun in the middle, Hei Yu blinked her beautiful eyes and smiled seductively at Emo Qingyun. Little brother, you are very naughty. You actually stole our things. Stealing? No, I don't think so. Hearing Hei Yu's words, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head. The things here don't belong to anyone. I took them away. How can you say that I stole from you? Emo Qingyun's reply caused Hei Yu and the others to become excited. According to what Emo Qingyun said, he should have obtained quite a few treasures from the rock cave. After learning from Emo Qingyun that he had obtained treasures from the rock cave, Hei Yu covered her mouth and smiled. Little brother, big sister doesn't want to make things difficult for you. If you hand over the treasures, I will only break your legs. How about it? Hall Master Hei Yu, you only broke his legs. Could it be that you still want to keep one leg to enjoy? Wei Xiuan, who was standing not far away, mocked Hei Yu as soon as she finished speaking. Hei Yu's pretty face turned cold when she heard Wei Xiuan's words. She turned her head with a faint smile and said, Sect Master Wei, what do you mean? I don't understand. Why don't you give me some pointers? No, nothing. Wei Xiuan's face twitched when he sensed Hei Yu's cold gaze. He felt a chill. He knew very well that Hei Yu's current behavior was a manifestation of her anger. Seeing that Wei Xiuan did not speak, Hei Yu looked at Emo Qingyun and waited for Emo Qingyun's reply. Emo Qingyun looked at Hei Yu and the others before him with a calm expression. He pretended to wave his hand helplessly and said, There are so many of you here. Who should I give the things I obtained from the rock cave to? When Emo Qingyun said this, the expressions of the people from the three factions immediately became tense and cold. In an instant, some ill feelings arose between the three factions. Noticing this, Zhong Mingqi, the South Palace master of the 4 dragon palaces of the Qinghai Sea, snorted coldly, "Humph! What a sinister and cunning boy. You're already a fish on the chopping board, yet you still want to sow discord. Watch this old man kill you first, then search for the treasures on your body." After Zhong Mingqi finished speaking, his figure flashed and flew directly toward Mo Qingyun. Seeing Zhong Mingqi's action, He Yu, Wei Xiuan, and the others' expressions immediately became tense. In their opinion, Zhong Mingqi's attack on Mo Qingyun was not just to teach him a lesson. Zhong Mingqi's current action was clearly to capture Mo Qingyun so that the 4 dragon palaces of the Qinghai Sea could monopolize the treasure. Seeing that Zhong Mingqi was attacking him, Mo Qingyun did not panic at all. He said with a disdainful expression, "Shameless old thing. You want to capture me so that the 4 dragon palaces of the Qinghai Sea can monopolize the treasure. Just say it directly. Why do you have to be so secretive?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhong Mingqi's old face twitched. He had a strong feeling that something bad was going to happen. Then, he saw He Yu, Wei Xiuan, and the others attacking him together to stop him. "Guys, don't listen to this boy's nonsense. He's trying to sow discord." Seeing the actions of He Yu and the others, Zhong Mingqi panicked and immediately explained to them. However, his explanation was extremely pale and powerless in the ears of He Yu and the others. Bang bang bang. Under the attacks of He Yu and the others, Zhong Mingqi was immediately forced back. The qi and blood in his body were surging. The injuries that he had suppressed just now broke out at this moment, making him unable to fight for a short period of time. Seeing Zhong Mingqi's situation, the East Palace master of the 4 dragon palaces of the Qinghai Sea, Zhong Peak, looked at them with a gloomy expression and said angrily, "Guys, what do you mean by this? Do you think that the 4 dragon palaces of the Qinghai Sea are easy to bully?" Hearing Zhong Peak's words, He Yu, Wei Xiuan, and the others' expressions immediately became tense. Immediately after, the people from the 2 forces instinctively drew closer to each other. For a moment, the atmosphere between the 3 forces became a little tense. Interesting. Seeing the scene in front of him, the smile on Mo Qingyun's face immediately became wider. When he saw Zhong Mingqi next to him, his eyes lit up and he had a plan in his mind. Chapter 2940. Mo Qingyun's action quickly attracted everyone's attention. Seeing Mo Qingyun flying towards Zhong Mingqi, everyone was shocked and puzzled. Just now, Zhong Mingqi wanted to capture Mo Qingyun, but Mo Qingyun was stopped by He Yu and the others. Now, he took the initiative to fly towards Zhong Mingqi. Wasn't this strange? Of course, they didn't expect that Mo Qingyun was flying towards Zhong Mingqi to send him on his way. What does this kid want to do? Does he want to surrender to the 4 dragon palaces of Qinghai? It should be like this. He can see that the 4 dragon palaces of Qinghai is powerful, so he chose to surrender to them. We can't let him succeed, or we won't get a share of his treasures. He Yu and the others discussed and then rushed towards Mo Qingyun, ready to block Mo Qingyun's path. Seeing Mo Qingyun flying towards them, Zhong Peak and the others were stunned at first, then they laughed and said, "Guys, this kid took the initiative to offer his treasures, so don't blame us." Zhong Peak laughed and nodded to Mo Qingyun, "Little guy, you're a man who understands the situation. I won't treat you unfairly." When Zhong Peak spoke, he didn't hesitate and immediately flew towards He Yu and the others, stopping them from getting close to Mo Qingyun. "East Sea Palace Lord, I hope you remember what you said now." Hearing Zhong Peak's words, Mo Qingyun smiled meaningfully and reminded him. Zhong Peak didn't understand the hidden meaning in Mo Qingyun's words. He immediately laughed heartily and said, "Of course, I always keep my words." Mo Qingyun smiled evilly and didn't respond to Zhong Peak. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times and he arrived in front of Zhong Mingqi. his eyes flashing with a playful look. "Brat, at least you know what's good for you. Give the treasure to this old man." Zhong Mingqi had a solemn expression on his face as he looked at Mo Qingyun, who had arrived in front of him. He commanded Mo Qingyun. In his eyes, even if Mo Qingyun took the initiative to surrender, he was still the one who caused his injuries to relapse. This was a debt that he could not easily suppress, and he would not let it go so easily. "Give you treasures? What are you thinking about?" In response to Zhong Mingqi's words, Mo Qingyun curled his lips and said, "I'm not here to offer you treasures. I'm here to send you on your way." As Mo Qingyun's words fell, he took out the nine-bull divine sword and stabbed towards Zhong Mingqi. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Zhong Mingqi was shocked and actually forgot to dodge. He had never imagined that Mo Qingyun would actually be so bold as to actually dare to come and make a move against him. With a flash of sword light, a sharp sword ray shot out from the nine-bull divine sword. Puchi! The sword ray flashed and pierced through Zhong Mingqi's head, directly dispersing his primordial spirit. Shortly after, Zhong Mingqi's eyes lost focus and he was instantly killed by Mo Qingyun. Seeing such a scene, everyone was stunned and felt like their brains weren't enough. Didn't Mo Qingyun surrender to the Azure Sea 4 Dragon Palace? Why did he suddenly attack and kill Zhong Mingqi? The situation changed too quickly and everyone couldn't react in time. He killed Zhong Mingqi. With this brat's early-stage sector lord cultivation, how could he kill Zhong Mingqi? Even if Zhong Mingqi was heavily injured and caught off guard, he shouldn't have been instantly killed, right? There's something wrong with this brat, let's be careful. Seeing such a sudden change, Yu and the others had a heavy expression and were on guard. They faintly felt that although Mo Qingyun seemed harmless, he was actually extremely dangerous. "Brat, how dare you!" Seeing Zhong Mingqi killed, Zhong Peak was enraged. He clenched his fists and his veins popped out. The difference was too great and he couldn't accept it. While Zhong Peak was raging, West Sea Palace Master Zhong Wuxing suddenly revealed a shocked expression and said, Big brother, I remember now. He's the one who killed fourth brother. When fourth brother was killed, he sent me a soul message and described his appearance. Because fourth brother described him as a quasi-sector lord, I didn't think too much about it. I didn't expect him to have broken through to the sector lord realm. Hearing Zhong Wuxing's words, Yu and the others' expressions became even more interesting. They really didn't expect Mo Qingyun to not only kill Zhong Mingqi, but also Zhong Hankai. Such actions were simply too crazy. Even the four of them wouldn't dare to kill Zhong Mingqi and the others unless they had no other choice. Good, very good. In his rage, Zhong Peak's face turned as dark as ink. He gnashed his teeth and said coldly, Boy, you are the only one in the past 900 million years who has truly angered this old man. I will definitely make you beg for death. Looking at the angry Zhong Peak, Mo Qingyun was not afraid at all. He looked indifferent and said, Donghai Palace Lord, you are a man of your word. You can't go back on your words. You just said that you would not treat me unfairly. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhong Peak snorted coldly and didn't even say anything. He said he wouldn't mistreat Mo Qingyun, but that was only after Mo Qingyun gave him the treasures. Now, Mo Qingyun didn't just kill Zhong Mingqi, he also killed Zhong Hankai. It was impossible for Zhong Peak to nurture him. Zhong Peak said coldly. His figure flashed as he launched an attack on Mo Qingyun. Seeing Zhong Peak make a move, the Zhong Wu planet also didn't watch and attacked Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun wasn't afraid at all. He looked at Yu and the others and said, I killed Zhong Hankai and Zhong Mingqi, so the strength of your three forces can be maintained at the same level. Aren't you going to thank me and help me? Mo Qingyun's words caused the expressions of Yu and the others to become complicated all of a sudden. With their intelligence, they could naturally tell that Mo Qingyun was trying to drag them down. Immediately they felt wronged. This had nothing to do with them. Sure enough, after hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhong Peak and He Yu's eyes turned cold. Sect Master Zhong Peak, this kid killed Zhong Mingqi and Zhong Hankai. It has nothing to do with us. Under Zhong Peak's gaze, Wei Xiuan immediately expressed his stance and distanced himself from the matter. He added, also, you can rest assured that we will definitely not interfere in the enmity between you and this brat. After Wei Xiuan finished speaking, he stepped back to prove his words. Seeing Wei Xiuan's actions, He Yu hesitated for a moment and also stepped back. Seeing He Yu and the other three's actions, Zhong Peak's expression turned better and he felt less worried. Chapter 2941. The four of you, have you never thought of destroying the Azure Sea's 4 dragon palaces? Mo Qingyun was not surprised by He Yu and the other three's reaction. He smiled evilly and said, now that the 2 of them are seriously injured, this is the best opportunity to get rid of them. If we miss this opportunity, it will be difficult to do it again. When they heard Mo Qingyun's words, He Yu and the other three's expressions changed. They exchanged glances with each other. It was obvious that Mo Qingyun's words had moved them a little. Seeing the reaction of He Yu and the other 3, Zhong Peak and the other 2's expressions immediately tensed up. Zhong Peak quickly said, the 4 of you, you are deliberately instigating us. Don't be fooled. If you help him kill us, he will definitely deal with you. If you help me kill this brat, the 2 of us will not take a share of the treasures they obtain. How about it? When they heard Zhong Peak's words, He Yu and the others became even more excited. Compared to getting rid of Zhong Peak and the other 2, they were more interested in the treasures on Mo Qingyun's body. More importantly, they believed that Mo Qingyun was easier to deal with. All right, we accept your proposal. I hope that Palace Master Zhong Peak will keep his promise. If you go back on your words, then don't blame our 2 sects for being unjust. After accepting Zhong Peak's proposal, He Yu and the others stopped watching and surrounded Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was not afraid of the actions of Zhong Peak and the others. He shook his head at He Yu and the others and said, your decision is the biggest mistake you have made in your lives. Not only will you not be able to destroy the Azure Sea's 4 dragon palaces and obtain the treasures, but you will also destroy your own sect. When he heard Mo Qingyun's words, Zhong Peak snorted coldly. He had a disdainful expression as he said, brat, you are already at death's door, and you are still trying to mislead people with your lies. Zhong Peak, do you think you can keep me here with them? Mo Qingyun's mouth twitched in disdain as he swept his gaze across He Yu's group. He proudly raised his head and said, if I, Mo Qingyun, want to leave, let alone the 6 of you, even 6 more of you won't be able to stop me. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, a violent wave of saint power erupted from his body. Soon after, the saint energy turned into a Pegasus, and he rode on it. Mo Qingyun materialized the holy power Pegasus, and in a flash, he escaped from the encirclement of the 6 people. What kind of divine ability is that? It can actually pierce through space. More importantly, when he passed through space, there wasn't even the slightest fluctuation of the laws of space. This is troublesome. This brat has such a remarkable ability. We can't stop him at all. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Black Moon and the others started to panic. They knew clearly that if they let Mo Qingyun go today, there would be hidden dangers in the future. Immediately, the 6 of them exchanged glances and chased after Mo Qingyun. Looking at the 6 people chasing after him, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a mocking smile. Listen up, I can kill Zhong Mingqi and Zhong Hankai, and I can also kill the 6 of you. But I don't want to kill you yet. I'll keep your heads for now. You better watch out for me. However, I won't kill you now, but I can take care of them first. After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he rode on the holy power Pegasus and flashed away. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Next, they saw Mo Qingyun's figure constantly moving to different locations. Every time Mo Qingyun showed himself, he would swing the 9-bull divine sword and slash at the people from the 3 forces. These people were only in the advanced or pinnacle sector Lord realm. How could they resist Mo Qingyun's violent attacks? Under Mo Qingyun's relentless attacks, one person after another was killed. It was a scene of a massacre. Seeing this, Zhong Peak was enraged. He roared with a pale face, "Kid, stop. Otherwise, if I catch you, I'll turn you into ashes." Mo Qingyun didn't care about Zhong Peak's angry roar at all. He continued to kill at a steady pace. Seeing their sect members being killed one after another, Black Moon and the other 3's faces gradually turned pale. They faintly felt that it was a mistake for them to agree to help Zhong Peak. After a while, under Mo Qingyun's crazy massacre, everyone from the 3 forces except Zhong Peak and the other 5 were killed. Seeing this result, Zhong Peak and the other 5 were enraged. The veins on their necks bulged as they gritted their teeth. Mo Qingyun was too ruthless. The people who came with them this time were the mainstays of their sections. Now that they were all killed by Mo Qingyun, the strength of their sects would drop by a level. "I've played enough. It's time to say goodbye." After killing everyone from the 3 forces, Mo Qingyun pulled away from them. He wasn't willing to stay any longer. Seeing Mo Qingyun preparing to leave, Zhong Peak and the other 5 weren't willing to give up and immediately chased after him. Seeing Zhong Peak and the other 5 catch up, Mo Qingyun slowed down. He turned and smiled at them. "You don't have to be anxious. We'll meet again in a few days." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed and disappeared before the eyes of the 6 people. Seeing Mo Qingyun disappear, the 6 stopped and clenched their fists. Killing intent surged. They didn't expect that they would be played by a sector lord kid. "The 4 of you, I've implicated you this time. I'll definitely compensate you in the future." Worried that Yu and the other 3 would vent their anger on him, Zhong Peak took the initiative to say something to ease their anger. Hearing Zhong Peak's words, Wei Xiuan waved his hand and said with a cold expression, "Palace Lord Zhong Peak, it's good that you have such intentions. The Azure Sea 4 dragon palaces suffered the greatest loss. As for the compensation, forget it. It's all that kid's fault. He's too cunning. He actually hid so deeply and tricked us." As soon as Wei Xiuan finished speaking, Yu's expression darkened as he spoke angrily. "That's right, before that brat escaped, he seemed to have said that we'll meet again in a few days. What did that mean? Could it be that he's also going to Buzhou Palace to participate in Palace Lord Qiu's celebration?" Wei Xiuan's expression changed as he spoke out his guess. Hearing Wei Xiuan's words, Zhong Peak and the others nodded. They felt that it was very possible. Zhong Peak said coldly, "When we reach Buzhou Palace, we'll report to Palace Lord Qiu and tell him about that kid. At that time, Palace Lord Qiu will make a move. That kid's abilities are great and he won't be of any use." After hearing Zhong Peak's idea, Wei Xiuan and the others nodded and sneered. Chapter 2942. After shaking off Zhong Peak and the others, Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he flew to another place. He wanted to see if there were any other treasures hidden in this small world. Mo Qingyun searched for half a day, but did not find anything, so he gave up. It seems that there are no other treasures in this small world. With such a result, Mo Qingyun did not stay any longer and left the small world in a flash. Coming out of the small world, Mo Qingyun did not stay any longer and began to fly out of the starry sea in Dragon Stream. He had already explored the small world that the Emperor Realm Dragon Spirit led to, so there was not much point in going to other small worlds. It's time to go to the Buzhou Palace. Coming out of the starry sea in Dragon Stream, Mo Qingyun did not stop and began to rush to the Buzhou Palace. In the following time, Mo Qingyun rode the Saint Power Flying Dragon and traveled day and night. Along the way, if he consumed too much Saint Power, he would stop to cultivate and recover. A few days later, with Mo Qingyun rushing at full speed, He arrived at the Buzhou Palace and saw many people coming to congratulate him. Emo Qingyun glanced around and looked at the groups of people who came to congratulate him. He nodded and said, "It seems that Zhong Peak and the others have not arrived yet and are still on the way." Knowing that Zhong Peak and the others had not come, Emo Qingyun's expression relaxed a little, and he walked toward the entrance of the Buzhou Palace. At this moment, as Emo Qingyun was walking forward, there was a commotion behind him. "Quick, look, the husky quasi-emperor is here. I can't believe that after so many years, the husky quasi-emperor is still alone. The husky quasi-emperor pursues mutual love with his cultivation. It is naturally difficult. Those with low cultivation who are with him are completely relying on his strength. It is impossible to truly love him. Those with high cultivation, after seeing his appearance, will give up the idea of being with him." Hearing the discussion behind him, Emo Qingyun stopped and turned his head to look. A young man with a fat head and big ears slowly walked up to Qing Buzhou Palace. "Indeed, you can't judge a book by its cover. I didn't expect this person to be a quasi-emperor." Looking at the husky quasi-emperor slowly approaching, Emo Qingyun's eyes flashed with surprise, and he could not help but take a few more glances. Sensing Emo Qingyun's gaze, the husky quasi-emperor turned his head towards him, revealing a complicated expression. "I never thought that I, would one day feel that a young man is devastatingly beautiful. I have indeed been single for too long." Hearing Hada's words, Emo Qingyun was speechless. He couldn't help but sigh with emotion. This Hada was truly of the highest quality. What Emo Qingyun didn't expect was that just as he was about to withdraw his gaze, Hada walked over to him and said, "Little brother, both of us came here alone. I presume that we're both in the same boat. Why don't we go to the banquet together?" "All right." Hearing Hada's suggestion, Emo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement. Although he didn't know why Hada wanted to go with him, an invitation from a quasi-emperor was not something he could easily reject. If Hada was angered and dissatisfied because of his rejection, it would undoubtedly cause more trouble. It would cause a lot of inconvenience and trouble for his following actions. Moreover, if he went with Hada, it would also reduce a lot of trouble. Even if Zhong Peak and the others arrived and saw him with Hada, they would most likely be wary of him. "Let's go in." Seeing Emo Qingyun nod in agreement, Hada led the way. Then, Emo Qingyun and Hada walked into Qing Buzhou Palace together. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people were all stunned, unable to recover for a long time. That kid's luck is too good. To be recognized by the husky quasi-emperor, this kid is really an old cow. I wonder where that kid is from. I must make friends with him later. Some quick-witted people immediately followed behind Emo Qingyun. They thought that it would be very difficult to make friends with Hada, but it would be much easier to make friends with Emo Qingyun. Sensing the people behind him, Emo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly, revealing a faint smile. He couldn't be more clear about what these people were thinking. However, Emo Qingyun did not expose those people's intentions. In Emo Qingyun's opinion, when Zhong Peak and the others arrived, these people would naturally hide far away. Wandering Cultivator, Hada. True Beginning Demon Palace, Missouri Qingyun. Emo Qingyun and Hada arrived at the entrance and reported their identities. When Emo Qingyun reported his identity, the surrounding people immediately looked at him with a huge change in their eyes. Everyone was very clear in their hearts what kind of relationship existed between the true absolute beginning Devil Hall and the prime clear Buzhou Palace. "You are a disciple of true beginning Demon Palace?" After knowing Emo Qingyun's identity, Hada revealed a look of surprise and stared at Emo Qingyun with wide eyes. It was clear that Emo Qingyun's identity had frightened him quite a bit. If he got too close to Emo Qingyun, Qing Buzhou Palace might bear a grudge against him. "That's right." Emo Qingyun did not hide it and nodded calmly. "Now that you know my identity, do you regret teaming up with me?" If that's the case, I won't make things difficult for you. We'll move separately from now on. Hearing Emochingyun's words, Hada didn't mind and smiled. He waved his hand at Emochingyun and said, "Little brother, you're underestimating me too much. Although I'm not as successful in love, I've never been afraid of anyone when it comes to fists." Hada's behavior surprised Emochingyun, and he had a good impression of him. Knowing that he would encounter many troubles in Qing Buzhou Palace, Hada was still willing to attend the banquet with him. From this, it could be seen that Hada had a good character and was someone worth befriending. After expressing his attitude, Hada frowned slightly. "Little brother, the relationship between the true absolute beginning Devil Hall and the Buzhou Palace is very bad. You have come as a representative of the true absolute beginning Devil Hall, so the people of the Buzhou Palace will definitely make things difficult for you. You need to be careful." "No need to worry. Since I've hurried over, I've naturally thought of this." Emochingyun smiled nonchalantly. He glanced at Hada and said, "I don't want to waste too many trump cards on some insignificant people. When the time comes, I'll have to trouble Brother Haha to help me intimidate them. As for big trouble, you can do it yourself. I've already thought of a countermeasure. Just a small matter. Leave it to me." Hada patted his chest and agreed to Emochingyun's request with a straightforward look on his face. Chapter 2943. Little brother, can you tell me about the plan you mentioned just now? After agreeing to Emochingyun's request, Haha rubbed his hands curiously. Obviously, Emochingyun kept him in suspense and aroused his curiosity. Looking at Haha, Emochingyun smiled bitterly and shook his head helplessly. "Sorry, I can't tell you for now. You will know when the time comes." Hearing Emochingyun's reply, Haha was disappointed. However, he didn't ask further and forced Emochingyun to tell him. "Let's go in," Emochingyun said and walked into the Buzhou Palace, heading towards the guest room that was arranged for him. Seeing Emochingyun's actions, Haha hurriedly followed. His gaze towards Emochingyun also changed. The more he observed Emochingyun, the more Haha discovered that Emochingyun was extraordinary. At the same time, the confusion in his heart grew stronger. At his age, his cultivation has reached the Sector Lord realm. He is simply a monstrous genius. For such a genius, the absolute beginning Devil Hall has no reason to abandon him and send him to his death in the Buzhou Palace. It's really strange. The more Haha thought about it, the more confused he was. His curiosity towards Emochingyun also grew stronger. Emochingyun and Haha didn't walk far before their path was blocked by a group of people. Seeing that his path was blocked, Emochingyun stopped and looked indifferently at the people before him. What is the meaning of this? Seeing their actions, Haha guessed what they were thinking. If he wasn't wrong, these people should be trying to cause trouble for Emochingyun by blocking their path. Since he had promised Emochingyun to help him solve some small problems, he couldn't just stand by and watch. "So it's Senior Haha." Hearing Haha's words, the people in front trembled and hurriedly bowed. "Senior, please calm down. We didn't mean to offend you but for this kid. This kid is a disciple of the absolute beginning Devil Hall. We want to learn from him and see what he is capable of." When they spoke, their expressions were cold as they glared angrily at Emochingyun. Seeing their expressions, Haha snorted. "I'm not in a good mood now. Scram immediately. Don't talk nonsense here. Scram." As soon as Hada finished speaking, he released his aura and pressed down on the few of them. Bang bang bang. Under Haha's aura, they were all forced to retreat and their faces turned red. From the looks of it, under Harhad's aura, they were shaken to the point that their vital energy and blood surged. "Senior, please calm down. We will leave." Seeing that Haha was angry, the people from the Buzhou Palace were so scared that they immediately left with their tails between their legs. However, before they left, they still glared at Emochingyun. "Kid, consider yourself lucky this time. With Senior Haha, we will definitely teach you a lesson next time. Those people left behind some harsh words and left with their tails between their legs. With you around, it really saves a lot of trouble. Seeing the people from the Buzhou Palace leave, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and cast a grateful look at Haha. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Haha shook his head disapprovingly. Even if I don't do anything, I'm afraid they can't do anything to you. This is different. If I do it myself, it will be a little troublesome. Emo Qingyun didn't agree with Haha's words. He simply explained, if I do it myself, once I injure someone, the people from the Buzhou Palace will definitely come and help the disciples of the sect take revenge. Indeed. Haha nodded in agreement. While Emo Qingyun and Haha were talking, they entered the guest room. Looking at his guest room and Haha's guest room, Emo Qingyun felt helpless. His guest room was really just a guest room. At a glance, it was just an ordinary wooden house without even a small courtyard. Although Haha's guest room wasn't particularly luxurious, it still had a courtyard and a small bridge. It seems that Cho Ziying has broken through to the Emperor realm and is preparing to attack the absolute beginning demon palace. Seeing the state of Emo Qingyun's guest room, Haha couldn't help but sigh. He vaguely sensed something. Then, Haha waved his hand and said, "My courtyard is big enough and I have enough rooms. If you don't mind, you can stay in the same courtyard as me. This way, I can also attack when those kids come looking for trouble." Hearing Haha's suggestion, Emo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before accepting Haha's suggestion. Then, Emo Qingyun walked towards Haha and entered his courtyard. Emo Qingyun entered the courtyard and didn't say much. He walked directly to a room and said, "I've used up a lot of my saint power on the way here. I'll go into seclusion to cultivate for a while. If there's anything, just send me a message." "Okay." Haha nodded. Then, Emo Qingyun entered the room and immersed himself in cultivation. Seeing Emo Qingyun enter the room, Haha frowned and was puzzled. He said, "Ordinary half-step great emperors aren't as calm as he is in front of me. This kid is really strange. I'm getting more and more interested in him." "Interesting." Haha muttered to himself. He didn't stay any longer and walked into another room. After that, everything returned to normal. During this time, there were a few waves of Buzhou Palace disciples who were scared off by Haha's aura. After scaring off a few waves of people, no one dared to come again. Time passed slowly and the banquet slowly approached. While Emo Qingyun was cultivating, Zong Peak and the other 5 arrived. The arrival of Zong Peak and the other 5 immediately attracted a lot of attention. They were warmly welcomed by Buzhou Palace. 6 half-step great emperors came together. This was quite a shocking scene. Under the hospitality of Buzhou Palace, Zong Peak's expression was solemn. He said in a deep voice, "Gu Hengyi Xianqing, we have something important to discuss with Palace Master Qiu. Can you pass on our message?" Hearing Zong Peak's words, Gu Hengyi's expression changed slightly. His eyes were filled with curiosity. In his opinion, with Zong Peak and the other 5's identities, the important matter must be something important. Thinking of this, Gu Hengyi's face was filled with curiosity. He asked, "The 6 of you, I wonder what you have to report to the Palace Master? This is very important. Please forgive us, Xianqing. We can't tell you now." Hearing Gu Hengyi's question, Zong Peak showed an apologetic expression and shook his head. Hearing Zong Peak's words, Gu Hengyi didn't ask any more. He said in a deep voice, "In that case, please wait for a moment. I will pass on the message. As for whether the Palace Master is willing to meet you, this old man can't make the decision." "Thank you." Hearing Gu Hengyi's words, Zong Peak and the others hurriedly cupped their hands. Chapter 2944. In the true demon palace of absolute beginning, in the Frostfall Lake. "You're finally breaking through to the great Emperor realm." Sensing the change in Lei Muin's aura, the lightning ice phoenix's spirit's expression changed slightly. As the lightning ice phoenix's spirit spoke, Lei Muwen's aura reached a new level. Her cultivation had finally broken through and entered the Great Emperor realm. After Lei Muwen made a breakthrough in her cultivation, she stopped cultivating and opened her beautiful eyes to look at her surroundings. Looking around and not seeing Emo Qingyun's figure, Lei Muwen's face tensed up. She asked, "Senior, why isn't Qingyun here? Where did he go?" "He left not long after you went into seclusion. He should have gone to the Buzhou Palace." The lightning ice phoenix's spirit didn't hide anything from Lei Muwen's question and directly told her where Emo Qingyun went. Lei Muwen's expression changed when she heard the lightning ice phoenix's spirit's words. She felt a strong sense of unease. Although Qingyun isn't weak, it's still very difficult for him to go against Chou Xing. Thinking of Emo Qingyun's strength, Lei Muwen felt anxious. She hurriedly asked the lightning ice phoenix's spirit, "Senior, how long have I been in seclusion?" "Almost a month," the lightning ice phoenix's spirit replied. "This means that the Buzhou Palace's celebratory banquet is about to begin." Lei Muwen's face tensed up when she knew how long she had been in seclusion. She was even more worried. She said, "Qingyun went to the Buzhou Palace alone. Once the people there target him and make things difficult for him, he'll be in a very dangerous situation. I have to go to the Buzhou Palace immediately." "Girl, you've just broken through. It's best if you stabilize your cultivation before going." Seeing that Lei Muwen was about to leave, the lightning ice phoenix's spirit reminded her in a serious tone. Lei Muwen rejected the lightning ice phoenix's spirit's reminder without thinking. She said, "There's not enough time. I have to leave immediately. Senior, please let me out." Sigh. The lightning ice phoenix's spirit sighed at Lei Muwen's request and didn't continue to persuade her. It knew that with Lei Muwen's personality, no amount of persuasion would work. After opening the isolation formation, the lightning ice phoenix spirit took out a small bell and handed it to Lei Muwen. "That brat gave this to me before he left. He told me to pass it to you after you finished cultivating." Purple lightning heaven bell. Lei Muwen's face tensed up. Mountain's face tensed up. The ice phoenix's spirit's eyes. From her point of view, Emo Qingyun might have given her the purple lightning heaven bell because he was prepared to die. After putting away the heaven-sealing purple lightning bell, Lei Muwen didn't say anything else and immediately rushed towards Buzhou Palace. Shangqing Buzhou Palace, at the entrance of a large hall. Under Gu Hengyi's lead, Zhong Peak and the other 5 arrived with nervous expressions. Gu Hengyi led the 6 of them to the front of the main hall. He gestured for them to enter and said, "The 6 of you, the palace master is already waiting inside." "All right." Zhong Peak and the other 5 nodded and walked into the hall. The moment they entered the hall, they saw a middle-aged man sitting at the front of the hall with a solemn expression. He exuded an imposing aura. This middle-aged man was the palace master of Shangqing Buzhou Palace, Chou Xing. "Greetings, Palace Master Chou." Looking at Chou Xing at the top of the hall, Zhong Peak and the others bowed respectfully. Chou Xing waved his hand and said, "There's no need to be so courteous. Please take a seat." "Thank you, Palace Master Chou." Zhong Peak and the others cupped their hands in thanks and walked to the chairs on both sides of the hall. After Zhong Peiku and the others sat down, Chou Xing revealed a curious expression and asked, "Just now, I heard from Hengyi Xianqing that the 6 of you have something important to discuss with me. May I know what is it?" "To be honest, Palace Master Chou, we do have something important to report." Zhong Peak immediately stood up and carefully explained, "It's like this. When we were on our way to Shangqing Buzhou Palace, we came across a dangerous place called the Starry Sea in Dragon Stream. It's a secret realm left behind by a supreme saint expert." "A secret realm left behind by a supreme saint expert?" Zhong Peak's words piqued Chou Xing's interest and made his expression tense. Although he had broken through to the Great Emperor realm, A secret realm left behind by a supreme saint expert was still very attractive to him. That's right. Zhong Peak nodded affirmatively. Cho Ziying's expression immediately became more serious when he heard Zhong Peak's response. He said, "Did the 6 of you come to me to ask for my help to break open the entrance to the secret realm left behind by the Supreme Saint Expert?" In Cho Ziying's view, there was no other reason for Zhong Peak and the others to come to him. If Zhong Peak and the others could enter the secret realm, they would definitely have it for themselves. There was no need to share it with him. That's not the case. Zhong Peak shook his head again and said, "To be honest, before we entered the secret realm, the treasure left behind by the Supreme Saint Expert had already been taken by someone else." Someone else had taken it before us? Cho Ziying was shocked again, and a trace of disappointment flashed across his eyes. He said, "If that's the case, what's the point of you telling me this? Palace Master Cho, there's something else you don't know." Without waiting for Zhong Peak to reply, Wei Xiuan stood up and answered first. "According to what we know, the person who obtained the treasure of the Supreme Saint's secret realm also came to Buzhou Palace to attend Palace Master Chao's celebratory banquet. If that's the case, he's like a turtle in a jar, at Palace Master Chao's mercy." "Oh, there's such a thing." Cho Ziying's eyes lit up and his expression became somewhat excited. Zhong Peak was right. Since he was at Buzhou Palace, he had the final say in everything. For the treasure of a Supreme Saint Expert, he didn't mind using some underhanded means. After calming down his secret joy, Cho Ziying's expression became serious. He said, "What benefits do the 6 of you want from telling me this?" With Cho Ziying's intelligence, he naturally understood that Zhong Peak and the others' actions weren't just to curry favor with him. "Our request is very simple. After Palace Master Cho captures that kid, hand him over to us to deal with," said Zhong Peak. "All right." Cho Ziying didn't hesitate at all to agree to Zhong Peak's request. He said, "Copy his image using your saint power projection. I'll immediately send someone to look for him." "Yes." Hearing Cho Ziying's order, Zhong Peak immediately activated his saint power and copied Mo Qingyun's projection. Soon, Mo Qingyun's projection appeared in front of Cho Ziying. Chapter 2945. Palace Lord Cho, is there something wrong? Seeing Cho Ziying's reaction, Zhong Peak was curious and hurriedly asked. Cho Ziying shook his head when he heard Zhong Peak's question. "I just feel that this person is a little familiar, as if I've seen him somewhere before. As for where, I can't remember at the moment." Cho Ziying's words shocked Zhong Peak and the others quite a bit. They were all stunned on the spot. They would never have thought that Cho Ziying would have an impression of Mo Qingyun. This was a little too abnormal. The difference between Mo Qingyun's identity and Cho Ziying's was like the difference between heaven and earth. If there weren't any special circumstances, the two of them wouldn't have any interactions. "Forget it, I'll slowly interrogate that kid after I capture him." Cho Ziying didn't think too much about it and started to order people to find Mo Qingyun. After receiving Cho Ziying's order, the people of the Buzhou Palace didn't hesitate to search for Mo Qingyun's whereabouts. Mo Qingyun's identity as a member of the true Absolute Beginning Demon Hall had already attracted attention, so his identity was quickly exposed. Not long after, Mo Qingyun's identity was reported to Cho Ziying. In the main hall, Cho Ziying and the others were all shocked when they learned of Mo Qingyun's identity. Even if they racked their brains, they would never have thought that Mo Qingyun was a disciple of the true Absolute Beginning Demon Hall. "I really didn't expect him to be a disciple of the true Absolute Beginning Demon Hall." After learning of Mo Qingyun's identity, Cho Ziying smiled faintly. He was overjoyed at this result. This way, he didn't even have to use an excuse to attack Mo Qingyun. With the conflict between the Buzhou Palace and the true Absolute Beginning Demon Hall, what other reason did he need to deal with Mo Qingyun? It seems that the treasures in the Great Saint's secret realm belong to Palace Lord Cho. In my opinion, those great saint treasures were unearthed to congratulate Palace Lord Cho. Congratulations, Palace Lord Cho. Not only did you become a great emperor, but you also have treasures delivered to your doorstep. What a double blessing! Zong Peak and the others all flattered him. Hearing the flattery of Zong Peak and the others, Cho Ziying revealed a radiant smile and said joyfully, I still have to thank the 6 of you for the news. Otherwise, this old man wouldn't be interested in a brat who just entered the World Lord realm. Don't worry, if I, Cho Ziying, have meat to eat, I will definitely give you a share of the soup. When the time comes, the benefits won't burn you. Cho Ziying's declaration immediately made Zong Pei-ku and the others overjoyed, their faces revealing brilliant smiles. Zong Peak couldn't wait to ask Cho Ziying, Palace Master Cho, now that you know the kid's identity, when do you plan to make your move? There's no rush. Cho Ziying had a faint smile on his face, as if he had a card up his sleeve. He said, in 3 days the banquet will begin. It won't be too late to make a move after the banquet begins. We can make an example out of him. Hearing Cho Ziying's words, Zong Pei-ku and the others didn't say anything else and quietly waited for the banquet to begin. After a simple explanation, Cho Ziying wasn't willing to say anything more. He waved his hand at Zong Pei-ku and the others and said, the 6 of you, this seat still has matters to deal with and won't entertain you. Please go and rest first. Palace Master Cho, please go ahead. Zong Pei-ku and the others respectfully replied. Following which, Zong Pei-ku and the others left the hall and saw Gu Hengyi waiting outside. Seeing Zong Pei-ku and the others come out, Gu Hengyi smiled faintly and said, the 6 of you, please follow me. I will accompany you to the guest rooms. All right. The 6 nodded and followed. In the following period of time, everything was very calm. Everything was prepared in an orderly manner. 3 days passed very quickly. In these 3 days, Emo Qingyun entered the small house and didn't appear. Seeing that Emo Qingyun didn't appear, Hahada was immediately curious. He looked at Emo Qingyun's small house and said, when normal people see this seat, they all bow and scrape and flatter. This kid directly ignored me for 3 days. What a strange guy. Hahada muttered to himself. He walked towards Emo Qingyun's house and prepared to call him out. Walking outside Emo Qingyun's house, Hahada shouted into the house, Kid, the banquet is about to begin. Have you finished your cultivation? Coming right up. Just as Hahada finished speaking, Emo Qingyun's voice came from inside the house. Following which, Hahada saw Emo Qingyun walk out of the house with a calm expression. When he saw Emo Qingyun, Hahada frowned slightly. He discovered that Emo Qingyun's aura had stabilized significantly. I was in a hurry a few days ago and didn't have time to stabilize my cultivation level. I used these few days to stabilize it. Sensing Hahada's surprised gaze, Emo Qingyun explained and walked out of the small courtyard. He said, Senior, let's go, in case we're late to the banquet. Seeing Emo Qingyun walk forward, Hahada's expression changed again. There was an additional look of understanding on his face. He said, no wonder those guys from Shangqing Buzhou Palace have been looking for this kid. This kid is indeed a little unusual. Hahada muttered to himself. He quickened his steps and quickly came to Emo Qingyun's side. Looking at Emo Qingyun in front of him, Hahada hesitated for a moment. In the end, he still said to Emo Qingyun, Kid, in the past few days when you were cultivating, the disciples of Shangqing Buzhou Palace have been looking for you. It seems like there's something urgent. You have to be careful. People from Shangqing Buzhou Palace are looking for me. Hearing Hahada's words, Emo Qingyun's expression was one of shock. His mind spun quickly. He was very clear that when Hahada said they were looking for him, he was not referring to the provocation of ordinary disciples. Emo Qingyun thought for a moment and had an answer in his heart. He muttered to himself, It seems like Zong Peak and the others have arrived. Furthermore, they must have spread the news of what happened in the Dragon crevice to Cho Ziying's ears. Emo Qingyun understood this point. He did not think too much about it and came up with a general plan to deal with it. Seeing Emo Qingyun's calm expression, the surprise on Hahada's face immediately became even more pronounced. In his view, Emo Qingyun's expression was too calm. It was so calm that it was a little unreasonable. However, he did not ask too much. He only revealed an expectant expression. He really wanted to see how Emo Qingyun would deal with these troubles. Emo Qingyun and Hahada arrived at a square not long after. They saw tens of thousands of experts gathered here. These people were the sect leaders and elders of the nearby star domains. They had come to congratulate Cho Ziying. Greetings to Quasi-Emperor Husky. Seeing Hahada's arrival, the people nearby all bowed. Hahada casually waved his hand in response to the crowd's actions. He sat down with Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun had just sat down when he sensed all kinds of gazes looking at him. Among them, some were envious, some were jealous, and some were gloating. Chapter 2946. The Palace Lord has arrived. Not long after Emo Qingyun sat down, a resounding voice came from outside the hall. Hearing this message, the people sitting in the hall all stood up respectfully. Even Hada stood up with a look of reverence on his face. Clearly, Cho Ziying's breakthrough to the Great Emperor realm had given him quite a bit of pressure. Seeing Hada stand up, Emo Qingyun did not continue sitting and stood up unhurriedly. He had only come to the High Clear Buzhou Palace this time for a banquet and did not want to cause any trouble. After all, the true Primordium Demon Hall's current strength was still unable to contend with the High Clear Buzhou Palace. Of course, if the High Clear Buzhou Palace insisted on finding trouble, he would not sit still and wait for death. Under everyone's respectful gazes, the group entered the hall. When Emo Qingyun saw this group of people, his expression changed. A look of surprise flashed across his eyes as he thought to himself, the 6 of them are indeed with Cho Ziying and the rest. Looks like his relationship with Cho Ziying is not ordinary. When Emo Qingyun had entered the hall earlier, he had been searching for Zong Peak and the others but had not been able to find them. At that time, Emo Qingyun had been guessing whether Zong Peak and the others would be with Cho Ziying. Now, it seemed that his guess was right. Looks like Zong Peak and the others leaked information about me and gained Cho Ziying's attention. As Emo Qingyun thought to himself, he raised his guard and guarded against Cho Ziying making a move on him. Judging from the current situation, it was impossible for him to keep the peace during this banquet. Just as Emo Qingyun raised his guard, Zong Peak and the others sensed his gaze and turned to look at him. When the 6 of them saw Emo Qingyun, they all sneered coldly. However, when they saw Hada beside Emo Qingyun, they frowned slightly. Clearly, Ha had put a lot of pressure in their hearts. If Hada interfered, it would be quite difficult for them to take care of Emo Qingyun. However, when Zong Peak and the others saw Cho Ziying in front, their worries immediately disappeared. With Cho Ziying here, no matter how strong Hada was, he would not be able to change the outcome. Staring coldly at Emo Qingyun, Zong Peak and the other 5 turned their heads and followed Cho Ziying to the top of the hall. Not long after, Cho Ziying sat down at the top of the hall under everyone's respectful gazes. Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. Please take a seat. Cho Ziying sat down, and a faint smile appeared on his face as he shrugged at everyone. Receiving Cho Ziying's signal, everyone descended one after another, their expressions respectful as they waited for Cho Ziying to speak. Cho Ziying surveyed the surroundings. His gaze landed on Emo Qingyun, and he revealed a smile that was filled with deep meaning. Sensing Cho Ziying's gaze, Hada's eyes darkened and his expression tensed up. Kid, the way Cho Ziying looked at you just now seems a little strange. Looking at Emo Qingyun beside him, Hada transmitted his voice in a low voice. His tone was extremely serious as he said, Cho Ziying is a very dangerous person. He will probably make things difficult for you later. You must stay calm and not fall into his trap. Emo Qingyun calmly responded to Haoda's reminder. Hearing Emo Qingyun's reply, Haoda sighed in his heart, knowing that his words had not been heeded. However, Haoda did not try to persuade him further. He knew that it was useless to say anything more. Although he had only interacted with Emo Qingyun for a short period of time, he already knew Emo Qingyun's character very well. Emo Qingyun was very opinionated. Once he had decided on something, it was very difficult to change his mind. Chou Ziying glanced at Emo Qingyun before retracting his gaze. He waved to someone beside him and said, "Since everyone is here, let the banquet begin." "Yes." Hearing Chou Ziying's command, the person beside him immediately nodded and said loudly, "Let the banquet begin. Serve the wine and dishes." Under this person's command, various rare delicacies were sent into the main hall. In a short while, Emo Qingyun's table was filled with various delicacies and wine. "Palace Master, today is your birthday celebration. We have prepared some small performances." Seeing that the banquet was served, Gu Hengyi slowly stood up and waved his hand towards the outside of the hall. Under Gu Hengyi's signal, 3 disciples with Sector Lord Cultivation entered the hall respectfully. Disciple Gu Yangxiu greets the Palace Master. Disciple Gu Hai greets the Palace Master. Disciple Gu Qinghui greets the Palace Master. The 3 of us wish the Palace Master to ascend to the Emperor realm and shake the heavens with your name. We are willing to give you a sword dance. The moment the 3 youths entered the main hall, they bowed respectfully towards Chou Ziying. Seeing their actions, Chou Ziying chuckled and nodded in praise. "It's good that the 3 of you are so considerate. As for the sword dance, I will give it to the guests seated here." "Yes." The 3 of them nodded and unsheathed their swords and danced, showing off their elegance. Seeing their performance, the surrounding guests nodded and their expressions were filled with praise. "Little guy, the 3 of them will occasionally drift towards you. You have to be careful." Looking at the 3 swordsmen, Haoda frowned as he sensed that something was amiss. Hearing Haha's reminder, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, they can't hurt me. I hope they won't find trouble with me." Emo Qingyun's reply caused Haha's expression to change. Shock flashed across his eyes. He could tell that Emo Qingyun wasn't being arrogant when he said this. If that was the case, Emo Qingyun must have something to rely on that allowed him to not fear the 3 of them at the same cultivation level. At this moment, while Emo Qingyun and Haha were talking, Gu Yangxiu's sword light flashed and a sharp sword light was slashed out. The sword light was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of one of them. That person was so scared that his face turned pale. Just as that person was about to dodge, the sword light flashed and instantly dissipated in midair. Seeing such a scene, that person revealed an expression of lingering fear. He revealed an embarrassed smile and said, "This young master's swordsmanship is really exquisite. I admire it. I hope everyone can forgive me for losing my composure just now." After that person finished speaking, he picked up his wine cup and toasted to everyone as an apology. Some people who were familiar with this person responded to this person's actions. After some fun, Gu Yangxiu and the other 2's sword dance didn't stop, but their swordsmanship became much sharper. Seeing this change, the surrounding people's expressions became serious, and they felt that the atmosphere became somewhat oppressive. At this moment, Gu Yangxiu and the other 2's swords suddenly pierced towards Emo Qingyun's direction. In the process of the 3's swords piercing, the aura of their swords immediately became several times sharper. This kind of attack was many times stronger than the one that pierced towards that person just now. Chapter 2947. Be careful. Seeing the 3 of them attacking Emo Qingyun, Haoda was shocked and immediately sent a message to Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun did not respond to Haoda's telepathic message. Instead, he smiled faintly and said, "The three of you have good sword techniques. I also know a little about sword technique. Please enlighten me." As soon as Emo Chinyan finished his words, he took out the divine 9-bull sword and faced the 3 swords. Seeing Emo Chinyan's actions, the surrounding people were greatly shocked. Each and every one of them widened their eyes. They did not expect that Emo Chinyan would actually dare to resist the sword dance of Gu Yangxiu and the other 2. One had to know that Gu Yangxiu's actions just now had already shown that their sword dance was not a real attack. This kid is too reckless. If he angers Palace Master Chiu, the consequences will be unimaginable. He's too young after all. He can't keep his cool. As a great emperor, Palace Master Chiu should not be so calculative with him. Everyone sighed and could not help but worry for Emo Chinyan. Seeing Emo Chinyan's actions, Hada's body trembled and he was shocked. Oh no, this kid has always been calm. Why is he so impulsive now? As Hada sighed inwardly, he quickly thought about how he could help Emo Chinyan. Under everyone's gaze, Emo Chinyan leaped up and swung his sword at Gu Yangxiu and the other 2. The divine 9-bull sword flashed and blasted out a sword ray that swept towards Gu Yangxiu and the other 2. You overestimate yourself. Seeing Emo Chinyan's actions, Gu Yangxiu and the other 2 sneered and their eyes were filled with contempt. Although their cultivation levels were the same as Emo Chinyan's, they could easily fight someone of a higher cultivation level. Now that the 3 of them had joined forces, how could Emo Chinyan block them? Before Gu Yangxiu and the other 2 could smile, his expression froze and his eyes widened. The sword ray that Emo Chinyan blasted out actually penetrated their sword ray and blasted their bodies. Bang bang bang! Gu Yangxiu and the other 2 were all sent flying by the overbearing attack of the sword light. They fell heavily to the ground. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people were stunned. Not only did Emo Chinyan make a move, he even sent Gu Yangxiu and the others flying. This action was too crazy. This brat really has guts. Seeing Emo Chinyan's actions, Chou Ziying's brows furrowed as a hint of surprise flashed through his eyes. Zhong Peak and the others had already told him about Emo Chinyan's strength, so he was not surprised that Gu Yangxiu and the other 2 were sent flying. What surprised him was that Emo Chinyan actually dared to injure Gu Yangxiu and the other 2 in the Prime Clear's Buzhou Palace. This brat really took the bait. Seeing Emo Chinyan's actions, Zhong Peak and the others sneered, gloating from the side. Emo Chinyan made a move to injure Gu Yangxiu and the other 2, giving Chou Ziying an excuse to make a move. Under everyone's gaze, Emo Chinyan revealed a disappointed expression. Looking at Gu Yangxiu and the other 2 on the ground, he said, "The few of you, I only use 10% of my strength to seek advice from the few of you. With the 3 of your strength, it shouldn't be that you can't block it, right? Moreover, even if you can't block it, you shouldn't be injured to this extent, right? I'm a guest of the Prime Clear's Buzhou Palace at any rate. It's wrong of you to scam me like this. I can't give any compensation." With Emo Chinyan's words coming out, the surrounding people were dumbfounded, as if they were petrified. It was clearly Emo Chinyan who made a move to injure them. In the end, with a few words from him, it became Gu Yangxiu and the others' fault. This brat's mouth is really formidable. Hearing Emo Chinyan's words, Haha couldn't help but smile bitterly. He didn't know what to say. Haha smiled bitterly for a while, then his expression became serious again. He thought, although Emo Chinyan's words are clever, pushing the blame to Gu Yangxiu and the others, this matter won't be resolved so easily. I wonder how he'll deal with it? Just as Haha thought, when Gu Yangxiu and the others climbed to their feet, their faces darkened. They said, "Palace Master, please uphold justice for us. Not only did this brat injure us, he's even boasting shamelessly here. If he only used 10% of his strength, how could we not have withstood it?" Hearing Gu Yangxiu's words, the nearby guests immediately began to whisper to one another. "Sir Gu Yangxiu is right. That brat must have used his full strength, wanting to injure them on purpose. This kind of treacherous person must be properly punished. This brat is going to be unlucky. Injuring people in the territory of the Prime Clear's Bujo Palace. He can avoid death, but he can't escape punishment. I have some impression of him. He seems to be a disciple of the true absolute beginning Devil Hall. He can be considered to have some background. If he's a disciple of the true absolute beginning Devil Hall, the consequences will probably be even more severe. As everyone discussed, their gazes towards Mo Qingyun were immediately filled with strong sympathy. In their opinion, if nothing unexpected happened, Mo Qingyun was probably dead for sure. While everyone was discussing, Zhong Peak stood up unhappily and roared, "The true absolute beginning Devil Hall really doesn't know what's good for them. Palace Master Chiu broke through to the great Emperor realm and invited us out of goodwill. It's fine if they only sent a disciple, but they actually intentionally injured people at the banquet. We can't let this matter go so easily. In my opinion, the true absolute beginning Devil Hall is intentionally trying to stir up trouble and destroy the peace and harmony of the myriad worlds. Palace Master Chiu, I suggest you capture this brat and slowly punish him after the banquet." Hearing Zhong Peak's words, the surrounding people's gazes towards Mo Qingyun changed slightly. Evidently, Zhong Peak's words made them more or less believe him. They felt that Mo Qingyun was intentionally stirring up trouble. Oh no, the situation is getting worse and worse for this brat. Looking at the reactions of the people around him, Haoda's expression became even more tense. He could no longer continue to watch from the sidelines. Haoda stood up and laughed loudly at Chou Ziying. "Palace Master Chiu, in my opinion, this is just a small matter. It's just a small accident that happened when a few juniors were sparring. Everyone, don't think too much about it. Let's end this matter here." Hearing Haoda's words, some people nodded, thinking that they were thinking too much. "Husky Quasi-Emperor, I only have a conclusion in my heart. You can just watch from the sidelines." Chou Ziying's expression was cold in the face of Haoda's persuasion. He didn't listen at all. Hearing Chou Ziying's words, Haoda laughed awkwardly and sat back down with a heavy expression. He knew very well that if he continued to persuade Chou Ziying, he would anger Chou Ziying and turn him into Mo Qingyun's accomplice. After stopping Haoda's persuasion, Chou Ziying looked at Mo Qingyun and exuded the aura of a great emperor. "Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. If you can give me a reasonable explanation, I can forgive your offense. Otherwise, Chapter 2948. You want a reasonable explanation? That's too easy. Under Chou Ziying's aura, Mo Qingyun had an indifferent expression as he gave a simple answer. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he turned to look at Gu Yangxiu and the others and said, "Earlier, the three of you said that I intentionally injured you. If I really wanted to injure you, shouldn't I have used my full strength?" That's right." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Gu Yangxiu and the other two felt guilty and stammered. They were suddenly a little unsure if Mo Qingyun really used his full strength when he attacked just now. After all, they came to provoke Mo Qingyun only because they listened to Gu Hengyi's arrangement. As for Mo Qingyun's true strength, they had no idea at all. Getting the answer he wanted from Gu Yangxiu and the other two, Mo Qingyun's smile became wider. Seeing the smile on Mo Qingyun's face, Chou Ziying's heart thumped and immediately felt that something was wrong. Without waiting for Chou Ziying to stop him, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. He looked coldly at Gu Yangxiu and the other two and shouted, "Since that's the case, the three of you should properly feel how my full strength is." As Mo Qingyun's words fell, he slashed out with his sword, erupting with a terrifying aura. Immediately, a sword ray with monstrous aura blasted out from the nine-bull divine sword. So strong. Sensing the sword ray's aura, Gu Yangxiu and the other two turned pale and trembled in fear. Under the intense fear, they even forgot to resist. Stop! Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Gu Hengyi's face darkened and immediately shouted at Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun ignored Gu Hengyi's reprimand and his attack did not decrease in the slightest. Bang bang bang. The sword ray was extremely fast and hit Gu Yangxiu and the other two in the blink of an eye, sending them flying with the force of a whirlwind. Seeing Gu Yangxiu and the other two being sent flying, Gu Hengyi did not sit idly by and immediately reached out to catch them. By the time Gu Yangxiu and the other two were caught, they had already fainted. Their bodies were covered with hideous wounds. Looking at the appearance of Gu Yangxiu and the other two, the surrounding people gasped and couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Emo Qingyun's actions were too crazy. This was directly provoking the high clear Buzhou Palace. Is this kid crazy? The rapid change in the situation left Hahad in a daze. He felt that his brain wasn't enough to process it. He would never have thought that Emo Qingyun would actually fight back against Prime Clear Buzhou Palace's deliberate difficulties. After stabilizing the injuries of Gu Yangxiu and the other two, Gu Hengyi was so angry that his face turned ashen. He pointed at Emo Qingyun and shouted, "Brat, you, how dare you? Do you know the consequences of doing this?" Gu Hengyi's angry questioning was once again ignored by Emo Qingyun. He faced Chou Xing, who was at the top of the hall, and said, "Palace Lord Chou, you should have seen it now. When I attacked just now, I did not use my full strength. How did I deliberately provoke them?" Emo Qingyun's direct questioning was out of Chou Xing's expectations. He couldn't help but be speechless. Seeing that Chou Xing was speechless, Zhong Peak snorted coldly and said, "Humph. Even if what you said is reasonable and you did not intentionally cause trouble by injuring Gu Yangxiu and the other two, but now that you have heavily injured them, how are you going to explain it? Is there still a need to explain?" Facing Zhong Peak's questioning, Emo Qingyun's face was cold as he asked him in a domineering manner. He then said, "The absolute beginning Devil Hall has always adhered to the principle of being friendly with the High Clear Buzhou Palace. But the three of them had bad intentions and deliberately provoked the conflict between the two sections. Shouldn't I teach them a lesson?" Sharp-tongued and sophistry. Emo Qingyun's reply immediately incurred Zhong Peak's displeasure. He said coldly, "Even if Gu Yangxiu and the other two are in the wrong, it's not your turn to teach them a lesson in the High Clear Buzhou Palace." What a joke! Emo Qingyun sneered and glanced at Gu Yangxiu and the other two. He said, "If not for the fact that this is the High Clear Buzhou Palace and I'm giving Palace Lord Chou Xing some face, do you think the three of them would still be alive?" After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he placed his hands behind his back with an arrogant posture. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, everyone was stunned and felt that their brains were not enough to process it. This kid is too arrogant. Just what is he relying on? I'm not sure. If he's not crazy, then he must have something to rely on. Maybe he's bluffing and using a reverse method to make the High Clear Buzhou Palace hesitate. That must be it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the only one from the true Primordium Demon Hall. This is too risky. If it's lost, it'll be beyond redemption. Seeing Emo Qingyun's abnormal behavior, the people around him began to speculate. Not only were they confused, even Hada was confused. He said, "Just what is this kid relying on to dare speak to Chou Xing like that? It's getting harder and harder to see through him." Seeing Emo Qingyun's arrogant behavior, Zhong Peak was indignant. He said, "Palace Lord Chou, this kid is arrogant and conceited. He can't be forgiven easily." Before Chou Xing could reply, Emo Qingyun beat him to it. He said, "Zhong Peak, if you continue to sow discord between the High Clear Buzhou Palace and the true Primordium Demon Hall, don't blame me for being impolite. I'll remove your Qinghai 4 dragon palaces. Let me remind you clearly. Since I can kill Zhong Hengkai and Zhong Mingqi, I can also kill you and Zhong Wu Planet." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Zhong Peak's face twitched and turned red. Seeing Zhong Peik's actions, everyone's eyes widened. They were quite frightened by Emo Qingyun's words. They knew very well that Zhong Peik's actions proved that Emo Qingyun's words weren't false. Did I hear wrongly? That kid killed Zhong Hengkai and Zhong Mingqi? Zhong Hengkai and Zhong Mingqi were both half-step emperors. How could this kid do it with his strength? That kid's strength is very close to the half-step emperor realm. I'm afraid this isn't false. Killing half-step emperors as an initial sector lord. This kid is a terrifying figure. When everyone looked at Emo Qingyun, their gazes were filled with awe and veneration. Not only others, even Hada was the same. No wonder this kid wasn't afraid when he saw me. He hid his strength so well. Hada sighed in his heart. He finally got an answer to the doubts in his heart. However, after his previous doubts were resolved, Hada had new doubts. Even if this kid has the strength of a half-step great emperor, it's still far from enough to contend against Cho Xing. What exactly did I miss? Hada was puzzled when he thought of this. He stared at Emo Qingyun. Chapter 2949. Brat, it's not your turn to behave atrociously in front of this seat. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Cho Xing's face was as black as ink as he warned coldly. As Cho Xing spoke, he also released an aura that crushed down on Emo Qingyun. Thump thump thump, under the impact of Cho Xing's aura, Emo Qingyun's body swayed and he unconsciously retreated a few steps. Emo Qingyun stabilized his body and revealed an unyielding expression as he confronted Cho Xing. He said, Cho Xing, as the palace lord of Shangqing Buzhou Palace, could it be that you want to bully the weak? Or is it that all the disciples of Shangqing Buzhou Palace like to do this kind of shameless things? Seeing that both sides had already shed all pretenses of cordiality, Emo Qingyun no longer held back and directly scolded Cho Xing. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, the expressions of the surrounding people all twitched and they could not help sucking in a breath of cold air. Among so many people present, probably only Emo Qingyun alone dared to speak to Cho Xing like this. Emo Qingyun's actions were really too crazy. It was simply no different from courting death. Looks like this brat has steeled his heart and wants to fight with Cho Xing. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Hada, who was at the side, secretly sighed and felt a sense of powerlessness. He said, the situation has become like this. Even if I want to intervene, I'm afraid it's also impossible. Hada was very clear that Cho Xing was already truly enraged. He would not listen to anyone anymore. Hearing Emo Qingyun's mocking words, Cho Xing revealed a cold smile. He said, Brat, you want to fight with this old man? You're still a little too inexperienced. This old man won't fall for this kind of low-end goading method. When Cho Xing finished speaking, he grabbed at Emo Qingyun with a palm, erupting with a monstrous aura. Very soon, the power of laws in the entire Great Hall underwent a huge change. Sensing the change in the power of laws, everyone in the Great Hall was shocked until their faces changed drastically. The terror of great emperors was that they could change the power of laws and create an absolute suppression on their enemies. Eternity. Facing Cho Xing's attack, Emo Qingyun did not dare to be the slightest bit careless and immediately brandished his sword to block. Very quickly, a sword ray with a sharp aura blasted out from the Nine-Bull Divine Sword. Boom! The sword light flashed and blocked the palm's shadow with a loud bang. Everyone's eyes widened when they saw the palm's shadow being blocked. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. How is this possible? He actually blocked Palace Lord Qiu's palm strike. Even if Palace Lord Qiu didn't use his full strength, his palm isn't something a sector lord can block. This kid is really a freak. He can't be judged by common sense at all. A series of exclamations could be heard. Clearly, Emo Qingyun's performance had exceeded the scope of their understanding. Looking at the unbelievable scene in front of him, Hada froze on the spot as if he had been petrified. He said, he can even withstand the power of an Emperor Realm expert. How did he do it? At this moment, Howda's heart was filled with an intense curiosity. He wanted to know the reason behind this. If he could do this, he would no longer need to fear Cho Ziying. After blocking Cho Ziying's palm strike, Mo Qingyun was not the least bit careless. He immediately activated the saint power in his body and condensed it into a Pegasus. Mo Qingyun leaped onto the Pegasus. His figure flashed and disappeared from the hall. Palace Lord Chiu, that kid wants to escape. Quickly chase him. Seeing Mo Qingyun disappear, Zhong Peak's expression trembled and immediately reminded Cho Ziying. Hearing Zhong Peak's reminder, Cho Ziying's face darkened. He said coldly, He wants to escape from my hands? He doesn't have the ability to do so. As Cho Ziying's words fell, he blasted a palm towards Zhong Peak, blasting out an imposing palm shadow that shook the heavens. Seeing Cho Ziying's action, Zhong Peak was so scared that his face turned pale and his eyes widened. He did not understand why Cho Ziying did not go after Mo Qingyun. Why did he turn around and attack him? Just as Zhong Peak was panicking, a light flashed in front of him. It was Mo Qingyun who had just disappeared. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed again and disappeared from everyone's perception. Bam! Mo Qingyun dodged, but Zhong Peak was not spared. He was directly hit by the palm shadow. Although Zhong Peak's strength was very strong, he was still beaten half to death by Cho Ziying's palm. Mo Qingyun revealed himself. Looking at the half-dead Zhong Peak, a faint smile appeared on his lips. You talk too much nonsense. You deserve to be beaten. Do you want to continue talking? You PFFF. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhong Peak was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. Zhong Peak spat out another mouthful of blood and fainted. He lay on the ground like a dead dog. Seeing that Zhong Peak had fainted, Mo Qingyun looked at Gu Hengyi and the others with a meaningful smile. Feeling Mo Qingyun's gaze, Gu Hengyi and the others trembled. Their eyes flashed with intense panic. They were very afraid that Mo Qingyun would use the same trick to deal with them as he dealt with Zhong Peak. You were barking just now. Why are you all so quiet now? Looking at the silent planet Zhong Wu and the others, Mo Qingyun showed a disdainful smile and mocked them. Hearing Mo Qingyun's mocking words, although Zhong Wu planet and the others were very angry, they did not dare to utter a single word. Boy, if I don't show you who's boss, you really think I can't do anything to you? Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrogant attitude and completely ignoring his existence, Cho Ziying was completely enraged. As soon as Cho Ziying finished speaking, he moved and chased after Mo Qingyun. Seeing that Cho Ziying was chasing after him, Mo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly. His figure disappeared on the spot. Cho Ziying, if you want to teach me a lesson, you have to catch up to me first. Not long after Mo Qingyun's voice was heard, he had already arrived outside the main hall and was out of the area covered by Cho Ziying's nomological laws. Seeing this scene, everyone in the main hall was stunned. Cho Ziying's nomological powers were actually ineffective against Mo Qingyun. This was a little unbelievable. Humph! After being played by Mo Qingyun again, Cho Ziying was completely enraged. He could not even speak. Cho Ziying's figure flashed and turned into a stream of light, chasing after Mo Qingyun. Cho Ziying, you're too slow. Are you a snail? Seeing that Cho Ziying was attacking, Mo Qingyun was not afraid at all. Instead, he mocked him again. When Mo Qingyun mocked him, his body flashed again and he disappeared on the spot. When Mo Qingyun reappeared, he had already pulled away from Cho Ziying and escaped from his capture. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, everyone was dumbfounded and felt that their brains were not enough. Facing Cho Ziying's capture, Mo Qingyun was actually able to handle it with ease. This ability was too terrifying. Chapter 2950. So that's what he's relying on. Seeing Mo Qingyun's figure constantly flashing, even Cho Ziying could not catch up with him. Haha's doubts were resolved. Since he had the power to protect himself, Why would Emo Qingyun fear Cho Xing? Thinking of this, Haha could not help but sigh. Saint Power transforming into a horse is so terrifying. Hearing Haha's words, the others sitting beside him all nodded in agreement. Even a great emperor could not do anything to him. He could be said to be exceedingly powerful. Under everyone's gaze, Cho Xing's face turned even uglier after failing several times in a row. Today, if he did not kill Emo Qingyun, he would lose all his face. Boy, don't be complacent. I'll definitely kill you today. Seeing Emo Qingyun dodge again, Cho Xing was so angry that his veins popped out. He gnashed his teeth and shouted angrily. Cho Xing's angry roar made Emo Qingyun curl his lips in disdain. He swept his gaze across the entire Buzhou Palace and said, Cho Xing, I think you shouldn't push your luck. You've attacked me again and again. Do you really think I won't retaliate? Boy, how dare you! Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Cho Xing shouted angrily. His tone was full of warning. Emo Qingyun did not care about Cho Xing's warning at all. He immediately swung his sword at a palace and said, Do you think I dare or not? With a wave of the nine-bull divine sword, a sword light blasted out and slashed at a palace domineeringly. Boom! The sword light blasted the palace and immediately exploded with a loud bang, causing the earth to shake. After being hit by the sword light, the boundary outside the palace was immediately activated. But what shocked everyone was that the sword light was blocked by the boundary and did not show any signs of weakening. On the contrary, the boundary outside the palace began to dim under the constant attack of the sword light. Crack, crack, crack. After a short while, the boundary outside the palace began to shatter bit by bit. Then, the barrier completely collapsed, and the sword light fell on the palace. Boom! The palace was bombarded by the sword light and immediately collapsed, turning into a pile of ruins. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were all stunned. They couldn't believe that this was real. This brat is too crazy. He actually dared to destroy the main hall of the prime Clear Buzhou Palace. By doing this, isn't he afraid that Cho Xing will kill his way into the true Absolute Beginning Devil Hall? As a disciple of the true Absolute Beginning Devil Palace, he can run away, but the temple can't. Why does he dare to do this? While everyone was shocked, they also felt puzzled. Cho Xing was thoroughly enraged as he watched the palace crumble under Emo Qingyun's tyrannical might. Brat, you forced me to do this, Cho Xing shouted coldly. He began to form hand seals, activating the sect-protecting formation of Buzhou Palace. Very quickly, a seven-colored screen of light appeared in the sky above Buzhou Palace. Looking at the seven-colored light screen of Buzhou Palace, the people below were stunned. Their faces paled. They were very clear that Cho Xing was completely enraged. He was about to lose his mind. Otherwise, why would he use the sect-protecting formation to deal with a sector lord brat? This brat is in trouble. Unless a great emperor comes to help, he will definitely die today. Looking at the sect-protecting formation of Buzhou Palace, Hada's expression tightened. He felt a strong sense of worry. Compared to the others' worry, Emo Qingyun was indifferent. He smiled without a care. Cho Xing, do you think a lousy formation can trap me? As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, his figure flashed and disappeared from where he stood. When Emo Qingyun appeared again, he was already out of the sect-protecting formation of Buzhou Palace. Seeing this, everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't know what to say. They didn't expect that even the sect-protecting formation of Buzhou Palace couldn't do anything to Emo Qingyun. In this way, no one in the entire Buzhou Palace could do anything to Emo Qingyun. Cho Xing is going to have a headache facing such an enemy. It's not just a headache. He won't be able to eat or sleep well. A mere initial stage sector lord already has such ability. If he breaks through to the Great Emperor realm, it'll be amazing. With this brat's talent, there's a high chance of him breaking through to the Great Emperor realm. Buzhou Palace is in big trouble. After witnessing Mo Qingyun's methods, everyone couldn't help but feel some sympathy for Chou Ziying. Meeting an enemy like Mo Qingyun was undoubtedly the most troublesome thing. Seeing that even the sect protecting formation couldn't trap Mo Qingyun, Chou Ziying gritted his teeth in anger. While Chou Ziying was furious, he also felt some fear in his heart. He was very clear that at this point, it wasn't a matter of face anymore. If they didn't get rid of Mo Qingyun, the Buzhou Palace would forever be in a nightmare from now on. Palace Lord Chou, it seems like you're in trouble. Do you need my help? While Chou Ziying was at a loss, a cold voice sounded from the back mountain of Buzhou Palace. Chou Ziying was delighted when he heard the voice. He hurriedly bowed in the direction of the back mountain. Emperor Lord, please help. If you can kill this brat, this junior will be eternally grateful. I'll be willing to go through water and tread on fire for Emperor Lord. When Chou Ziying bowed, an old figure flew out from the back mountain of Buzhou Palace. This aura, sensing that person's aura, Hahada was so frightened that his body trembled. His eyes widened as he exclaimed, "This is the aura of a half-step great saint expert. I didn't expect such an expert to be hidden in the prime clear Buzhou Palace." Half-step great saint. It seems like Chou Ziying's breakthrough to the great emperor realm is related to this person. 2 great emperors and 1 is a half-step great saint. The prime clear Buzhou Palace is so strong. Everyone was terrified when they saw the old figure in the sky. While everyone revealed expressions of fear, Mo Qingyun also noticed the old man. A wisp of shock flashed through his eyes as he said, "The situation isn't good. One Chou Ziying is still easy to deal with, but if this person is included, the situation isn't optimistic." Mo Qingyun wasn't worried that he wouldn't be able to escape, but that Chou Ziying would team up with this person to take revenge on Taichu Demon Hall. With the strength of Lei Muan and the others, it was impossible for them to resist the joint attack of these 2 people. Just as Mo Qingyun was worrying, the old man's figure flashed and appeared not far away from him. So fast. Mo Qingyun was shocked when he saw the old man's attack. He immediately dodged. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and pulled away from the old man, avoiding the old man's powerful attack. He dodged it. Chou Ziying was shocked when he saw Mo Qingyun's performance. He was surprised by the situation. Chapter 29:51. Even the attack of a half-step great saint was dodged by him. What kind of superpower is this? How could it be so terrifying? Saint power transforming into a horse. How terrifying, how terrifying! It seems that as long as the great emperors don't appear, he can look down on everyone. Looking at Mo Qingyun's performance, everyone was shocked and in awe. Hearing the words of the people next to him, Hauda sighed and said, "Compared to this kid, I've lived for tens of millions of years in vain. He must be lucky." Calming himself down, Chou Ziying's eyes flashed fiercely as he rushed towards Mo Qingyun and shouted, "Kid, let's see how many times you can dodge. Die." As soon as Chou Ziying finished speaking, he grabbed at Mo Qingyun and joined forces with the old man to attack. Seeing this, everyone's expression tensed up. They couldn't help but break out in cold sweat for Mo Qingyun. 2 great emperors joining forces, and one of them was even a half-step great saint. This lineup was too terrifying. Could Mo Qingyun handle it? Chou Ziying's participation in the battle made Mo Qingyun's situation much more serious. There were a few times when Mo Qingyun was almost caught by them and was injured by their attack. That was close. Once again, the crisis was averted. Mo Qingyun's face showed lingering fear. He took a deep breath and said to himself, "This can't go on. Once my saint power is exhausted, I will definitely be captured by them. I have to think of a way." In the process of constantly dodging, his saint power was greatly consumed. Mo Qingyun frowned. The thing that gave him the greatest headache was that with this half-step great sage expert by his side, even fleeing had become extremely difficult. Seeing that Emo Qingyun was firmly suppressed, Cho Ziying's face revealed a cold smile. With a complacent expression, he said, "Brat, you have nowhere to run. Obediently surrender." "Not necessarily." Hearing Cho Ziying's words, Emo Qingyun's face turned serious and a ruthless look appeared on his face. If it really did not work out, he could only use the concept of grand beginning to raise his combat strength. It was just that the consequences of releasing the concept of grand beginning were not something he could predict. He didn't want to do that unless it was absolutely necessary. Space door. Gate of time. Gate of providence. Door of calamity. Although he couldn't use the realm of absolute beginning, Emo Qingyun didn't hold back anymore. He immediately activated the Gate of Destinies. Soon, 4 doors of light with completely different auras appeared beside Emo Qingyun. The 4 gates of light were formed. The Gate of Space, the Gate of Time, and the Gate of Destiny entered Emo Qingyun's body. As for the Gate of Bloody Calamity, Emo Qingyun waved his hand and sent it flying towards Cho Ziying. "Since you're so proud, I'll show you the Gate of Bloody Calamity. I hope you'll like it." Whoosh! The bloody door turned into a bloody light and disappeared in a flash. In the blink of an eye, it blasted into Cho Zi's body. As soon as the bloody door entered his body, Cho Zi's blood surged and a trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Cho Zi's face immediately turned gloomy when he noticed his situation. He was injured. Although his injuries weren't serious, it was a great humiliation that he was injured by Emo Qingyun. A kid at the initial stage of the World Lord realm had actually injured him. Was there anything more embarrassing than this? Haha, and the others were shocked when they saw Cho Zi's injury. They were all stunned on the spot. Palace Lord Cho is injured. He was injured by Emo Qingyun. It's already unbelievable that he was able to dodge Palace Lord Cho's attack with ease. I didn't expect him to be able to injure Palace Lord Cho. It's too terrifying. Although Palace Lord Cho's injuries aren't serious, Emo Qingyun's ability to do this is enough to shock the world. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. At this moment, Emo Qingyun's impression in their hearts underwent a complete change. "Old man, how do you feel?" After Emo Qingyun used the bloody door and caused Cho Zi to suffer, Cho Zi asked with a faint smile. When Emo Qingyun asked, he also felt some anticipation. "I wonder what kind of good luck the Door of Fortune will bring me? Kid, I'm going to tear you into pieces and make you unable to reincarnate." Cho Zi completely lost his mind when he heard Emo Qingyun's mocking words. He pounced towards Emo Qingyun in a frenzy. At this moment, a beautiful figure flew over with extreme speed and shouted angrily with a cold expression. I'd like to see how you're going to injure my husband." After a shout, a beautiful figure appeared in front of Emo Qingyun. She arrived in front of Emo Qingyun and raised her right palm to meet Cho Zi's attack. Chi chi chi, when the beautiful figure raised her right palm, a terrifying power of lightning mixed with a frosty aura blasted out from her palm. When this power erupted, it turned into a green palm shadow and changed the power of laws in the surroundings. It could be seen that this beautiful figure was also a great emperor powerhouse. Myuan. Seeing the beautiful figure in front of him, Emo Qingyun's expression changed. His face was full of shock. He did not expect Lei Myuan to come at this time. What he did not expect even more was that Lei Myuan had broken through to the great emperor realm. In this way, his crisis was resolved. While Emo Qingyun was still in shock, Lei Myuan's palm shadow blasted out to meet Cho Zi's palm shadow. Boom! The 2 palm shadows that contain the power of a great emperor collided and immediately exploded with a terrifying sound. Then, a destructive power erupted from the 2 palm shadows. Seeing the energy storm, Emo Qingyun was shocked and immediately pulled Lei Myuan back. Emo Qingyun and Cho Zi's figures flashed and left the area of the energy storm. When Emo Qingyun retreated, Chou Zi-ing and Chou Zi did not dare to be careless and retreated as well. Just as the four of them retreated, the place where the two palm shadows collided turned into a black hole area. A violent devouring power surged out from the black hole area like a demon that wanted to destroy the world. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people were scared out of their wit. Their faces all turned pale. They were sure that even a half-step great emperor powerhouse would be in a perilous situation if they were affected. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. Everyone held their breaths and looked at the black hole area in the air. After an unknown period of time, the storm finally dissipated and the black hole area also healed, returning to its original state. Seeing that everything had returned to normal, everyone took a deep breath. Chou Zi-ing, I didn't have enough fun fighting 1 against 2. Now that it's 2 against 2, we can fight to our heart's content. Just as everyone calmed down, Emo Qingyun's voice came from the air and shocked them again. They did not expect that Emo Qingyun had not left and still wanted to continue the battle. His actions were simply too crazy. Chapter 29:52. Hearing Emo Qingyun's voice, everyone looked up at the sky. When they saw Lei Muan's appearance, those who knew Lei Muan were all stunned. That's the number 1 beauty of the Absolute Beginning Star Zone, the young lord of the Absolute Beginning Demon Palace. Her cultivation has broken through to the Emperor realm. No wonder Emo Qingyun isn't afraid of Chou Zi. I didn't expect the Absolute Beginning Demon Palace to have an Emperor realm expert. I seem to have heard her say that Emo Qingyun is her husband. After knowing the relationship between Emo Qingyun and Lei Muan, the way everyone looked at him changed greatly. Some of the younger people looked at Emo Qingyun with eyes full of adoration. With his initial sector lord cultivation, he had managed to seduce an Emperor realm wife. This was too outstanding. He even managed to get Lei Muan. Is there anything this kid can't do? Looking at Lei Muan in midair, Ha-Ha-Da had a complicated expression. He also felt admiration for Emo Qingyun. He believed that even with his boundary Emperor realm cultivation, he wouldn't dare to have any ideas about an Emperor realm expert. I didn't expect this girl to have broken through to the Emperor realm. This is going to be troublesome. After knowing Lei Muan's situation, Chou Zi-ing's expression turned serious. He felt a strong sense of worry. He knew very well how big of an impact an Emperor realm expert could have on the situation. Because of Lei Muan's participation, their advantage had been greatly reduced. Seeing Chou Zi-ing's reaction, the half-step great saint elder beside him revealed a disdainful smile. Palace Lord Chou, there's no need to panic. Although she has broken through to the Emperor realm, she hasn't even stabilized her cultivation. She won't be a threat to us. Hearing the elder's words, Chou Zi-ing's expression relaxed. He nodded with a serious expression. Do it. After comforting Chou Zi-ing, the old man with half-step great saint cultivation rushed towards Lei Muan and said, That brat's movement divine ability is too mysterious. It won't be easy to kill him, but this girl doesn't know that kind of divine ability. Let's take care of her first. Lord Zishao is wise. With that kid's cultivation, even if he interferes from the side, it would be useless. When he heard the elder's suggestion, Chou Zi-ing's eyes immediately lit up. A look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face as he said, If this girl is in danger, that kid will definitely not sit idly by. At that time, he will take the initiative to come forward. It will be easy for us to deal with him. Then, he followed Zishao and attacked Lei Muan. Emo Qingyun frowned when he saw Chou Zi-ing's actions. He couldn't help but worry a little. Although Lei Muan had broken through to the great Emperor realm, she hadn't even stabilized her realm. She was definitely no match for Zishao and Zishao. Emo Qingyun's eyes suddenly lit up. A playful smile appeared on his lips as he said, Muan, activate the heaven-sealing purple lightning bell to trap that old man. Let's take care of Cho Ziying first, then slowly deal with him. When she heard Mo Qingyun's reminder, Lei Muwen immediately understood and summoned the heaven-sealing purple lightning bell. Under Lei Muwen's control, the heaven-sealing purple lightning bell immediately grew in size and enveloped Zi Xiao. Rumble, a deafening sound was heard. Zi Xiao, who was charging towards Lei Muwen, was directly enveloped by the heaven-sealing purple lightning bell and was trapped inside. Seeing Zi Xiao's situation, Cho Ziying immediately panicked. He was so frightened that his face kept twitching. He knew very well that without Zi Xiao's help, he was definitely no match for Mo Qingyun and Zi Xiao. When Cho Ziying thought of this, he immediately stopped moving forward and retreated with a look of fear. Let's see where you're going to run to. Seeing that Zi Xiao was trapped, Mo Qingyun didn't waste any time and immediately launched a counterattack against Cho Ziying. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed. He appeared behind Cho Ziying and slashed at him with his sword. The divine sword of 9 bulls flashed brilliantly and blasted out a sword radiance that swept towards Cho Ziying domineeringly. Facing the powerful attack of the sword radiance, Cho Ziying was so frightened that his body trembled. His escape route was instantly cut off. Tai Ching Chi Si Palm. Seeing the sword radiance rapidly approaching, Cho Ziying didn't dare to be careless and immediately blasted out with his palm. As Cho Ziying waved his palm, a terrifying saint energy blasted out from his palm. Immediately, the terrifying saint power turned into a giant palm made of mist. Chi Chi Chi. The sword radiance blasted onto the misty palm and immediately emitted a sharp sound as it pierced deeply into the misty palm. Following this, the aura of the misty palm immediately weakened a little. Seeing this, Cho Ziying's expression trembled and a look of shock flashed across his eyes. His full-strength palm actually didn't disperse Mo Qingyun's sword radiance. This was a little frightening. Before Cho Ziying could recover from his shock, he felt a bone-piercing chill coming from behind him. Oh no! Cho Ziying's face twitched, and he broke out in a cold sweat from fright. He knew that this was Lei Muwen's attack on him. She had launched a sure-kill attack on him. Cho Ziying understood this and didn't dare to hesitate at all. He immediately prepared to dodge. However, before Cho Ziying could turn around, he saw a giant thunderous palm approaching his head. I can't dodge it. Seeing the giant thunderous palm so close to him, Cho Ziying's face paled and a look of panic flashed across his eyes. However, Cho Ziying was after all a great emperor, and he quickly suppressed the panic in his heart. Spiritual shield of mystical purity. Cho Ziying's hands moved quickly and condensed a strong saint energy, turning it into a giant air shield. This air shield was formed and it enveloped Cho Ziying, blocking the giant thunderous palm that was attacking him. Bam! The palm shadow blasted onto the air shield and exploded with a loud bang, creating a terrifying energy storm. However, Cho Ziying, who was inside the air shield, was like the immovable Wisdom King and wasn't hurt at all. After blocking Lei Muwen's palm shadow, Cho Ziying's lips curled into a smug smile. Humph! Although I can't hurt you, you can't do anything to me either. When Lord Zixiao breaks out of this prison, it will be time to deal with you. Humph! You can block Mu Wan's palm shadow, but you can't block my sword radiance. Seeing Cho Ziying's performance, Mo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly and he immediately stabbed towards him. Mo Qingyun's right hand stabbed out, an array of sword radiance appeared in front of Cho Ziying in an instant. Cho Ziying curled his lips in disdain when he saw Mo Qingyun's attack. He said, "Kid, even an emperor can't break through this divine ability of mine. How is it possible for someone like you?" Before Cho Ziying could finish speaking, he saw Mo Qingyun's sword radiance pierce through his air shield. Then, the sword radiance blasted onto his body and directly pierced through his chest. Chapter 29:53. This can't be true. He can't possibly break through my shield. Chou Ziying looked at his bloody chest with a crazed expression, unwilling to accept this reality. Emo Qingyun smirked at Chou Ziying's crazed words and said coldly, "Since you don't believe me, then take another blow from me." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he brandished the 9-oxen divine sword and slashed down at Chou Ziying. Eternity ignores defense. Soon, an even more terrifying sword radiance blasted in front of Chou Ziying. Chou Ziying panicked at the sight of the rapidly approaching sword radiance, not daring to take it head-on. But what made him helpless was that although he wanted to dodge, he couldn't. Because if he dodged, he would have to remove his shield. In this way, Lei Muan's palm shadow would swallow him whole. In the instant that Chou Ziying hesitated, the sword radiance hit him again, leaving behind a hideous wound. After being hit by the sword radiance again, Chou Ziying's aura was clearly weakened. Not only that, but it became more difficult for him to resist Lei Muan's palm shadow. "I can't go on like this or I'll be exhausted to death by this kid." Sensing his situation, Chou Ziying immediately came to a realization and a resolute expression appeared on his face. Then, Chou Ziying removed his shield and took Lei Muan's palm head-on. Bam! Under Lei Muan's palm, Chou Ziying was immediately sent flying and swallowed up by the lightning palm shadow. Borrowing the power of the lightning palm shadow, Chou Ziying's figure paused and returned to the Buzhou Palace. However, at this moment, Chou Ziying was no longer as high-spirited as before, only a wretched and miserable state. Seeing Chou Ziying's appearance, the surrounding people were all stunned, unable to accept this reality for a long time. Someone as strong as Chou Ziying had actually been seriously injured by Emo Qingyun and his companion. The two of them are so strong that they can actually crush a great emperor. It's understandable that Lei Muan is so strong, but Emo Qingyun is ridiculously strong. Even great emperors can't block his sword light. His sword technique is too strange. It's not just the sword technique that's strange. His entire body is very strange. Better offend the great emperor than offend Emo Qingyun. At this moment, everyone had such childish thoughts in their hearts. Soon after, they looked at Emo Qingyun not only with respect, but also with fear. Seeing Chou Ziying flee back to Buzhou Palace, Missouri Qingyun frowned and a troubled expression appeared on his face. Although he could borrow the holy power Pegasus and bring Lei Muan into the Buzhou Palace, but the sect-protecting formation of Shangqing Buzhou Palace was a huge problem. If they were unable to destroy this grand formation, it would be impossible for them to kill Chou Ziying within the Buzhou Palace. Moreover, Lei Muan still needed to stabilize her cultivation, and his holy power was a bit too much. At that time, even if he risked his life to kill Chou Ziying, the remaining Zi Shao wouldn't be able to fight back. This way, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. Understanding this, Emo Qingyun didn't plan to continue attacking. "Chou Ziying, I hope you can keep your head and wait for me to take it the next time." Looking at Chou Ziying, who had fled back to Buzhou Palace, a cold smile appeared on Emo Qingyun's lips as he said some harsh words. Hearing Emo Qingyun's ruthless words, Chou Ziying's expression immediately darkened. He said coldly, "Kid, don't be so smug. This time, I was careless and accidentally fell into your trap. Once I recover from my injuries, I'll definitely slaughter your grand Primordium Demon Palace. Don't talk big. If you have the ability, come out and fight me. Coward." Hearing Chou Ziying's angry words, Emo Qingyun curled his lips in disdain and directly provoked him. Hearing Emo Qingyun's provocation, Chou Ziying immediately cowered. His face turned red and he didn't know how to refute. Seeing Chou Ziying speechless, Emo Qingyun's smile deepened. He said, "Chou Ziying, don't think I don't know how you broke through to the great emperor realm. The old man in the heavens sealing purple lightning bell should be a remnant of the dark demon race, right?" When Emo Qingyun said this, not only did Chou Ziying's expression change, but Hahad and the others' expressions also changed. If this was true, the Buzhou Palace would definitely be enraged and be annihilated by the myriad worlds. You're lying. Seeing the change in everyone's gaze, Chou Ziying felt guilty and quickly explained. Seeing Chou Ziying's expression, Mo Qingyun didn't argue. He nodded to Lei Muan and said, Lei Muan, put away the heaven-sealing purple lightning bell. We're getting ready to leave. Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Lei Muan nodded and put away the heaven-sealing purple lightning bell. Following that, Zi Xiao broke free from the heaven-sealing purple lightning bell. He charged at Mo Qingyun and Mu Wan with a gloomy expression. Dodge. Facing Zi Xiao's attack, Mo Qingyun didn't panic at all. He easily dodged with Lei Muan. As Mo Qingyun dodged, he smiled meaningfully and said, Old man, Palace Lord Chou has already revealed your true identity. As the Emperor Lord of the Dark Demon race, aren't you afraid of being hunted down by the great sages and saint emperors by appearing so openly? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zi Zhao's expression clearly twitched. A trace of panic flashed across his eyes. Mo Qingyun's words were true. If his identity was exposed, he would definitely be hunted down by the myriad worlds. At least for now, he would be in such a situation. Lord Zi Xiao, don't listen to his nonsense. I didn't say anything. Sensing Zi Zhao's angry gaze, Chou Ziying immediately felt guilty and hurriedly assured Zi Xiao. It would have been fine if Chou Ziying didn't say anything. Now that he said this, he was confessing without being pressed. What? Chou Ziying is working with the Dark Demon race. No wonder Chou Ziying's cultivation broke through to the great Emperor realm so quickly. In this case, wouldn't Shangqing Buzhou Palace become the Dark Demon race's vassal? When everyone thought of this, he distanced himself from Chou Ziying. As everyone retreated, they were also thinking of a way to leave Shangqing Buzhou Palace. Sensing the gazes of the people around him, Chou Ziying frowned and his expression became even more panicked. If this matter was leaked, Shangqing Buzhou Palace would be doomed eternally. Just as Chou Ziying was panicking, Zi Zhao's expression turned cold. He said, Palace Lord Chou, if you want to hide the truth now, you have to make the person who knows the truth disappear from the world forever. I think you know what to do. After hearing Zi Zhao's reminder, Chou Ziying's expression immediately darkened. A ferocious look appeared in his eyes. Sensing Chou Ziying's killing intent, Hahada and the others were shocked. They were quite frightened by Chou Ziying's thoughts. Chapter 2954. Everyone, I had no choice. Mo Qingyun forced me to do this. Chou Ziying's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at Hahada and the others, releasing a strong murderous intent. Chou Ziying's figure flashed and he attacked Hada and the others. Mo Qingyun frowned when he saw this. His expression became serious. If Hahada and the others were killed, Chou Ziying's defection to the Dark Devil clan would be concealed. This was not something he wanted to see. If this was the result, it would be meaningless for him to expose Chou Ziying's actions. No, I have to stop Chou Ziying and save some people. Mo Qingyun made a decision to stop Chou Ziying. Only by getting rid of some people and letting the news spread would Chou Ziying be consigned to eternal damnation. Only then would it be meaningful for him to expose Chou Ziying's actions. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, Zi Xiao guessed what he was thinking. He smiled coldly and said, Boy, if you want to save them, you have to get past me first. After he finished speaking, he charged at Mo Qingyun. His intention could not be more obvious. As he gazed at Zi Xiao who charged towards him, the corners of Mo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly, and he revealed a wisp of a disdainful smile as he said, Geezer, looks like you really don't have a good memory. Could it be that you've already forgotten that you were imprisoned within the Heaven Seal Lightning Bell? Zi Zhao's face twitched when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. Suppressing the panic in his heart, Zi Zhao's face darkened. Brat, don't be so smug. I was just careless just now. How can I be so easily suppressed by you now? Lei Muan's figure flashed when she saw Zizhao's actions. She arrived in front of Mo Qingyun and said, "Go and rescue them. Leave this person to me." Okay. Mo Qingyun nodded and disappeared when he saw Lei Muan go to stop Zizhao. Very soon, Mo Qingyun entered the prime clear Buzhou Palace and came to Hada's side. He said, "Senior Hada, gather everyone here. I will help you leave this place." Alright. Hada didn't waste any time and immediately shouted to the crowd, "Everyone, gather around me. Mr. Mo wants to take care of us and leave." Hearing Harhad's words, everyone's expression immediately changed, and their faces revealed a hint of surprise. They didn't know what method Mo Qingyun was going to use to get them out of here. However, after seeing Mo Qingyun's strange methods, they instinctively chose to believe him. Moreover, in this situation, they had no other choice but to believe in Mo Qingyun. Not long after, the crowd gathered around Harhad, each of them looking at Mo Qingyun expectantly. Seeing everyone's actions, Zhou Ziying revealed a cold smile, a smug expression appearing on his face as he said, "It's good that you're all gathered together. It saves me the trouble of hunting you down one by one. I'll directly deal with you all in one move." As Zhou Ziying's words fell, he slapped down with his palm, blasting out a palm shadow with a monstrous aura. Seeing Zhou Ziying's actions, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate at all and immediately slashed forward with his sword. Double time stop. Mo Qingyun slashed out with his sword, and everything within a radius of 100 miles in front of him fell into stillness. Using the double time stop to imprison Zhou Ziying's movements, Mo Qingyun instructed Hada and the others, saying, "Give up resisting, I'll take you all out of here." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the surrounding people all looked flustered and instinctively gave up all resistance. However, there were also some people who had doubtful expressions and didn't listen to Mo Qingyun's instructions. Mo Qingyun didn't pay attention to these people's actions. To him, it was enough to take away a portion of the people, not all of them. Swish, swish, swish. In just a moment, those people who gave up resisting all disappeared from their original positions. Seeing these people disappear, those who didn't give up resisting were all stunned. Mo Qingyun's ability once again shocked them. At this time, Mo Qingyun's double time stop was forcefully broken through by Zhou Ziying. After regaining his mobility, Zhou Ziying didn't stop moving, waving his palm at Mo Qingyun and the others. "Mr. Mo! Mr. Mo, save us!" Seeing Zhou Ziying's palm shadow coming, the remaining people immediately begged Mo Qingyun for help. Mo Qingyun ignored these people's cries for help. It's too late. Seeing Zhou Ziying's palm shadow approaching, Mo Qingyun frowned and immediately urged the Saint Power Pegasus to leave. These people had ended up in this state because of their own choices. Swoosh! Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and disappeared from his original position, coming out of the Buzhou Palace. When Mo Qingyun left, those people were swallowed up by the palm shadows and screamed miserably. Boom! A loud explosion shook the entire Buzhou Palace. The whole Buzhou Palace shook and the screams stopped abruptly. Those people were killed by a single palm. Mo Qingyun didn't care about those people's life or death, directly moving Haha and the others out of the Fortune mainland. "Everyone, saving you is already my limit, whether you can survive or not depends on yourselves." After moving Haha and the others out, Mo Qingyun said with a solemn expression, then flew towards Lei Muan. With Mo Qingyun's ability, he could bring them to a safe place and let them leave the Fortune mainland. But if Mo Qingyun did this, their hatred towards the Buzhou Palace would be greatly reduced. Letting them out now would only make them suffer Zhou Ziying's pursuit, further increasing their hatred towards Zhou Ziying. On top of that, their appearance would also distract Zizhao's attention. With them as cover, it would be easier for Mo Qingyun and Lei Muan to leave. "Let's go." Coming to Lei Muan's side, Mo Qingyun wrapped his arm around her waist and urged the flying horse to leave. Mo Qingyun and Haha's figures disappeared in a flash, escaping Zi Zhao's perception. Mo Qingyun and Haha's disappearance, coupled with the interference of the people in front of him, Zi Zhao couldn't help but panic. For a moment, he didn't know who to attack, losing the chance to chase after Mo Qingyun. But Zi Zhao wasn't an ordinary person. He quickly regained his composure. Soon after, Zi Zhao unleashed his full strength to attack Haha and the others. Run! Mr. Mo has already left. If we're trapped again, no one will save us. Chou Ziying is crazy, colluding with the Dark Devil race. I must spread the news. Excited words came out from everyone's mouth. Following that, everyone split up and fled in different directions. With everyone fleeing in different directions, even with Zi Zhao's strength, he was a little powerless. Chapter 29:55. The escape of a few people caused Zi Zhao's mental state to crumble even further, and he became even more confused. Following that, Zi Zhao stopped attacking and stopped chasing after Hada and the rest. He knew that everything was already set in stone and there was no way to reverse the situation. Mo Qingyun, if you fall into my hands, I won't let you off. Thinking of how his plans and efforts had been completely destroyed by Mo Qingyun, Zi Zhao gnashed his teeth in anger. Just as Zi Zhao was fuming, he also developed a strong dissatisfaction with Chou Ziying. He shouted angrily, "What a useless piece of trash! You can't even deal with a bunch of trap turtles." Hearing Zi Zhao's angry shout, Chou Ziying immediately revealed his fear and knelt down in front of Zi Zhao. "Lord Zi Zhao, please calm your anger. This subordinate was only careless for a moment. Please give me another chance. I will definitely make up for this mistake." Make up for it? The situation has already become like this. How do you still want to make up for it? Zi Zhao's expression was dark as he glared at Chou Ziying, questioning him through gritted teeth. Chou Ziying was speechless at Zi Zhao's angry words. His body trembled as he knelt. After reprimanding Chou Ziying, Zi Zhao's mood eased and he looked towards the Shangqing Buzhou Palace. Seeing Zi Zhao look at the palace, Chou Ziying's expression trembled as he guessed Zi Zhao's thoughts. Based on his understanding of Zi Zhao, now that the Shangqing Buzhou Palace had been exposed, Zi Zhao would definitely destroy it. Just as Chou Ziying was feeling uneasy, Zi Zhao's expression darkened. This place has already been exposed. Leaving it here will only cause trouble. Destroy it completely. Remember, don't leave anyone alive. If you fail again this time, don't blame this old man for being impolite. Yes. Chou Ziying's face was full of panic as he nodded shakily at Zi Zhao's order. Then, Chou Ziying flew towards the Shangqing Buzhou Palace with a vicious expression. Entering the palace, Chou Ziying didn't waste any words and immediately slaughtered his own disciples. Chou Ziying, have you gone mad? You actually slaughtered your own disciples. Why did you do this? Sect Master, please spare us. Chou Ziying, you deranged fellow, can you face your dead ancestors? Voices of criticism came from the Buzhou Palace of the prime clear lineage. Chou Ziying turned a deaf ear to the criticism of the people around him, and continued to slaughter his own people. He knew very well that if he did not make a move, Zi Zhao would have done the same. At that time, not only would his disciples die, but he would also die. Now that he was personally taking action, he could at least save his own life. Several hours later, there was no one left alive in the enormous Buzhou Palace of the Shangqing dynasty. After killing all the people of the prime clear Buzhou Palace, Chou Ziying emptied the treasury before returning to Zi Zhao's side. Chou Ziying respectfully asked for instructions. Lord Zi Zhao, everything has been settled. What should we do now? Do you want to destroy the true absolute beginning Devil Hall? At this moment, Chou Ziying's hatred for Mo Qingyun had reached an unprecedented level. In his opinion, if it wasn't for Mo Qingyun, the high clear Buzhou Palace wouldn't have suffered such a calamity. There's no hurry to destroy the true absolute beginning Devil Hall. There are more important things to do. Hearing Chou Ziying's request, Zi Xiao directly refused and said, "There is only a little more than half a month left before the Purple Heaven Holy Land opens. I want to enter the Purple Heaven Holy Land to try my luck and strive to recover my strength to the level of a great sage." Yes. Chou Ziying was delighted. He was no stranger to the Purple Heaven sacred ground. Back then, they had ambushed and killed Lei Muan's father in the Purple Heaven sacred ground. After instructing Chou Ziying, Zi Xiao wasted no more time and hurried to the Purple Heaven sacred ground. On an uninhabited, withered continent, a white light flashed and 3 figures appeared on the desolate continent. They were a young man and a beautiful woman riding a white horse. This place should be safe. The young man glanced around and his expression relaxed. He said, "Mu Wan, you've just broken through and haven't had time to stabilize your realm yet. You've been hurrying on with your journey and then you've experienced a great battle. Your foundation has been shaken. You have to cultivate and stabilize your realm immediately." Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words of concern, Lei Muan nodded and said, "You've used up a lot of your saint power in the battle. You should cultivate and recover as soon as possible." Okay. Mo Qingyun nodded. Then, the two sat down cross-legged to cultivate and recover the saint power they had used in the battle. Time flew by quickly as the two of them cultivated. In the blink of an eye, several days had passed. After several days of cultivation, Mo Qingyun had completely recovered the saint power he had used up. After recovering his saint power, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating and sensed Lei Muan's situation. Muan's cultivation has stabilized. After sensing for a while, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of Lei Muan's situation. Not long after, Lei Muan opened her beautiful eyes and stopped cultivating. Seeing Lei Muan stop cultivating, Mo Qingyun's expression relaxed. He smiled faintly at her and said, "If nothing goes wrong, Buzhou Palace should be destroyed. What do you plan to do next?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Lei Muan showed a thoughtful expression. After thinking for a while, Lei Muan showed a determined expression and said, "Father's body hasn't been found. I plan to go to Purple Heaven Sanctuary and see if I can find Father's remains. I'll go with you." Knowing Lei Muan's thoughts, Mo Qingyun made the decision without hesitation to enter Purple Heaven Sanctuary. Lei Muan did not object to Mo Qingyun's decision and nodded gratefully. After Lei Muan voiced her thoughts, she thought for a while before saying, "Based on my calculations, there are still about 10 days before the Purple Heaven Holy Land opens. Let's hurry over." Okay. Mo Qingyun responded and rushed to Purple Heaven Sanctuary with Lei Muan. While Mo Qingyun and Lei Muan were rushing, Hahada and the others spread the news about Buzhou Palace's actions. After knowing about Buzhou Palace's actions, various forces immediately formed an alliance and started to encircle and annihilate Buzhou Palace. But what surprised them was that when they arrived at Buzhou Palace had already been destroyed. Facing such an outcome, everyone was surprised but happy to see it. The destruction of Prime Clear's Buzhou Palace also saved them some trouble. Seeing that the Prime Clear Buzhou Palace was destroyed, everyone's attention shifted, landing on the Purple Heaven Holy Land. This was because there had always been a rumor that entering Purple Heaven Sanctuary would increase the chances of breaking through to the Great Emperor realm. Chapter 2956. Half a month's time passed very quickly. After half a month of traveling, Mo Qingyun and Lei Muan arrived at a purple void. Mo Qingyun scanned the area and found that the area in front of them was shrouded in a purple mist. Is this the Purple Heaven Holy Land? Looking at the boundless purple fog, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with shock. He was shocked by the scene before him. The vastness of the Purple Heaven Holy Land was far beyond his imagination. Looking at the boundless purple area, Lei Muan said with a serious face, The last time we came here, the purple mist area in front of us was only 1 billion miles. I didn't expect it to grow to 10 billion miles this time." After hearing Lei Muan's words, Emo Qingyun was shocked. He looked at Lei Muan in shock and said, "You mean that the purple mist area in front of us will continue to expand?" "Yes." Lei Muan nodded and said with a nervous expression, "The purple mist is very strange. After the demonic beasts enter it, they will undergo a strange mutation and their strength will increase greatly. Now that the purple mist area has expanded, the demonic beasts that enter it may be stronger than before. When we enter it later, we must be careful of the demonic beast's sneak attack." Hearing Lei Muan's words, Emo Qingyun's face tensed up and he immediately became vigilant. Since Lei Muan said so, the demonic beasts hiding in the purple mist must be very powerful. "Let's go in." After reminding Emo Qingyun, Lei Muan moved and flew into the purple mist. Seeing Lei Muan fly forward, Emo Qingyun followed closely behind her and entered the purple mist together. The purple mist area is too vast. It's easy for us to get lost. We have to think of a way to solve this problem. After entering the purple mist area, Emo Qingyun's face was tense as he reminded Lei Muan beside him. Hearing Emo Qingyun's reminder, Lei Muan's face turned serious. She pondered for a while and said, "I've thought of this before, but the purple mist area is too vast. It's too difficult to implement. Let me try." After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he took out the divine sword of 9 bulls and gathered a sharp saint energy. Then, he waved the divine sword of 9 bulls and blasted out a sword chi. The sword chi flew for a distance and hung in the purple mist area, emitting a dazzling golden light. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, Lei Muan immediately revealed a puzzled expression and said, "Using the sword energy as a guide? If the sword energy dissipates, then wouldn't it be a waste of effort?" "Don't worry, the sword chi I condensed won't dissipate so easily." Emo Qingyun smiled faintly at Lei Muan's worry and gave her a reassuring look. Seeing Emo Qingyun say this, Lei Muan didn't understand, but she still chose to believe Emo Qingyun. Next, Emo Qingyun condensed sword chi as a guide as he advanced with Lei Muan. As Emo Qingyun and Lei Muan advanced, some beasts hidden in the purple mist area appeared before them. These beasts weren't particularly high in cultivation. They weren't even at the Sector Lord realm. But their tenacity far exceeded Emo Qingyun's understanding. After killing a group of beasts, Emo Qingyun was shocked. He couldn't help but sigh, a mere universe realm cultivation, but their vitality is comparable to an early Sector Lord. These beasts are indeed strange. While Emo Qingyun was shocked, he was also worried. Universe realm beasts were already so terrifying. What would a Sector Lord realm be like? If they encountered a half-step Great Emperor, Boundary Emperor or Great Emperor realm beasts, wouldn't it be difficult for them to even escape? Seeing Emo Qingyun's invitation, Lei Muan could guess what he was thinking. She comforted him and said, "Although the demonic beasts in the purple mist region have strong vitality, their realms aren't too high. The strongest among them are only at the initial Sector Lord realm." "That's good." Hearing this, Emo Qingyun's expression relaxed a lot. Then, they unhurriedly ventured deeper into the purple mist area. With sword chi guiding the way, Emo Qingyun and Lei Muan didn't lose their way even though they kept killing. "Your sword chi is really strange. It's actually indestructible." Seeing that Emo Qingyun's sword energy was different, Lei Muan revealed a look of shock and astonishment. Seeing that Lei Muan was curious, Emo Qingyun didn't hide it and explained to her, "I have a special ability that allows my attacks to be indestructible." "I see." Lei Muan nodded in understanding. As for what ability it was, she didn't ask. After knowing the uniqueness of sword chi, Lei Muan's worries were completely dispelled. In the following time, Emo Qingyun and Lei Muan went deeper into the purple mist area. About a few hours later, as Emo Qingyun and Lei Muan rushed, they saw a continent. It was the purple heaven sacred ground. At this moment, there were many people gathered near the purple heaven sacred ground. They were thinking of ways to enter the purple heaven sacred ground. Emo Chingyun scanned the front and saw a familiar face. It was Harhad, who they had separated from a few days ago. When Emo Chingyun saw Hauda in front of him, he immediately flew towards him, wanting to ask him about the current situation. Little Emo. Senior Emo, Hall Master Lei. Seeing Emo Chingyun and Lei Muwen approaching, Harhad was shocked and bowed. Seeing Harhad's action, Emo Chingyun quickly raised his hand and helped him up. Senior, there's no need to be so polite. After helping Harhad up, Emo Chingyun didn't beat around the bush and asked him directly, Senior, is there anything wrong with you guys surrounding the purple heaven sacred ground and not entering? It's indeed a little unusual. The opening of the purple heaven sacred ground this time seems to be a little different from before. Hearing Emo Chingyun's question, Harhad's expression tensed up. He began to explain the situation he knew. In the past, when the purple heaven sacred ground appeared, a passage would appear very quickly. However, this time, the passage didn't appear. At this moment, as Emo Chingyun and the others were talking, a loud noise suddenly came from the continent in front. Following that, the crowd saw the continent shaking violently. As the continent shook violently, a huge crack appeared in the space it was in. After the crack appeared, a pure and powerful energy escaped from the crack. Sensing the appearance of the energy, Harhad was overjoyed and said excitedly, This is the purple heaven sacred energy. I didn't expect the purple heaven sacred energy to reach such a level. After Har had finished speaking, his figure flashed and flew towards the crack. Chapter 29:57. This power is indeed very pure. However, compared to the primordial energy, it's of a lower level. Emo Chingyun came close to the crack and carefully sensed the purple heavenly saint energy. He was disappointed. The purple heavenly saint energy that everyone regarded as a treasure was not that precious to him. Compared to Emo Chingyun's disappointment, Lei Muwen was pleasantly surprised. She said excitedly, Chingyun, the purple heavenly saint energy is of a very high level. If we refine it, we can improve the quality of our saint energy and our strength will change. Emo Chingyun was not surprised by Lei Muwen's reaction. After all, she had never seen the primordial energy before. The purple heavenly saint energy is useless to me. You can refine it and cultivate. I'll protect you. Looking at the excited Lei Muwen, Emo Chingyun smiled at her and sat down beside her. Hearing Emo Chingyun's answer, Lei Muwen did not ask further although she was puzzled. After knowing Emo Chingyun for so long, she was not surprised by Emo Chingyun's mysteriousness. Lei Muwen nodded. She sat down and cultivated, absorbing the purple heavenly saint energy around her. Under Lei Muwen's absorption, the purple heavenly saint energy around her immediately gathered towards her. In just a moment, the purple heavenly saint energy that gathered around Lei Muwen turned into a huge whirlpool. However, Emo Chingyun frowned unhappily when he saw this. He said, This absorption speed is still a little too slow. Even if I try my best to refine it, I won't be able to refine much of the purple heavenly saint energy. I have to help Mu Wan. Emo Chingyun made a decision as he thought about it. He raised his hand and waved it in the air. Dark swallowing heaven gate. Soon, a black light gate with an eerie aura formed above Emo Chingyun. Once the dark swallowing heaven gate was formed, it released a terrifying devouring power and devoured the purple heavenly saint energy around it. In just a short while, the dark swallowing heaven gate had devoured almost 70% of the purple heavenly saint energy that escaped from the crack. After snatching nearly 70% of the purple firmament sacred power, Emo Chingyun did not hesitate at all and immediately injected it into Lei Muwen's body. Haha is half a step away from breaking through to the great emperor realm. Let me help him. Sensing Haha's situation, Emo Qingyun made a decision and gave him another portion of the purple heavenly saint energy. Sensing the purple firmament saint energy entering his body, Haoda's expression immediately shook, and his face revealed an intense look of shock. Then, he looked at Emo Qingyun, his face filled with shock and gratitude. Don't be distracted. We'll talk about other things after you break through to the Emperor realm. Seeing Harhad's actions, Emo Qingyun immediately instructed him. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Haha did not distract himself and immediately focused on breaking through to the next level. Just then, the people cultivating around them sensed that something was wrong with the purple heavenly saint energy. Soon after, they withdrew from their cultivation and looked around with puzzled expressions. When they saw the dark heaven-devouring gate, they were all shocked. At the same time, they were furious. 80% of the purple heavenly saint energy that escaped from the crack had been absorbed by the dark swallowing heaven gate. If that was the case, how much of the purple firmament sacred power would be left for them to cultivate? Who is it who is using such a superpower to steal the purple heavenly saint energy that escaped? This superpower is from that guy. What a greedy guy. We have to stop him. Otherwise, we won't be able to get any purple heavenly saint energy. Seeing Emo Qingyun's actions, everyone was unhappy and looked at Emo Qingyun with hatred. Sensing everyone's gazes, Emo Qingyun didn't care at all. He stood there calmly. The purple heavenly saint energy seems to have decreased a lot. When Emo Qingyun looked at the people around him, he was also paying attention to the crack and immediately noticed the change in the purple heavenly saint energy. Sensing the situation, Emo Qingyun had a plan. He immediately said to Lei Muwen, Muwen, the purple heavenly saint energy is decreasing. It's meaningless to continue fighting. Activate the purple heavenly lightning bell to protect yourself. Don't disturb your refining of the purple heavenly saint energy while I'm dealing with these troubles. Okay. Hearing Emo Qingyun's instructions, Lei Muwen summoned the purple heavenly lightning bell. As the purple heavenly lightning bell was summoned, it covered Lei Muwen. Even if he breaks through to the Emperor realm, he can't be disturbed by the outside world. Sensing Haha's situation, Lei Muwen hesitated for a moment before covering him. She could see that Emo Qingyun and Haha had a good relationship. Otherwise, Emo Qingyun would not have snatched the purple heavenly saint energy to help Haha break through to the Emperor realm. Seeing that Haha was also covered, Emo Qingyun's expression relaxed and he revealed a satisfied smile. Just now, he was only concerned about Lei Muwen and neglected Haha. After he was done, Emo Qingyun turned his head to look at the people around him with an indifferent expression. Seeing that Emo Qingyun was calm and did not show any fear, the people around him felt a little guilty. For a moment they looked at each other. Some of them could not see through Emo Qingyun. Everyone looked at each other. Then, a half-step martial emperor slowly walked over to Emo Qingyun and said, "Little boy, let this old man give you a piece of advice. If your appetite is too big, you will end up stuffing yourself to death. Hand over the purple firmament sacred energy that you snatched, and this old man can guarantee your survival." As soon as the elder said that, the people around him started to rub their fists. They looked like they were going to attack Emo Qingyun. After glancing at the crowd, Emo Qingyun laughed disdainfully. His gaze fell on the elder and he said, "I have heard of a saying before. The bold die from overeating, while the cowardly die from starvation. It is absolutely impossible for me to hand over the purple heavenly saint energy. On account of your persuasion, I will also give you a reminder. There is still some purple firmament saint energy overflowing from the crack. You'd better hurry up and refine it. Otherwise, you won't be able to get anything. You don't know what is good for you." Seeing Emo Qingyun's attitude, the elder's face darkened. He was furious. Then, the elder moved and grabbed at Emo Qingyun. Seeing the old man's actions, Everyone's expression changed, revealing a gloating expression. This kid is really courting death. Elder Baiqiong tried to persuade him, but he did not listen. He is really courting death. When Elder Baiqiong captures him, he will regret it. Let's not watch. Otherwise, Elder Baiqiong will take all the benefit. Everyone felt that it would be too easy for the elder to kill Mo Qingyun with his half-step Great Emperor cultivation. Some people with higher cultivations were worried that the elder would capture Mo Qingyun and monopolize the purple heavenly saint energy that Mo Qingyun had snatched. They all attacked Mo Qingyun. In an instant, many half-step Great Emperors and half-step Great Emperors approached Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a faint smile when he saw everyone's actions. Chapter 2958. Scram. Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold as he saw Elder Baiqiong approaching. He slashed at him with his sword. Then, a sharp sword radiance blasted out from the Nine-Bull Divine Sword. The sword radiance flashed and blocked Elder Baiqiong's path, causing him to pause slightly. You're just a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Seeing Mo Qingyun's resistance, Elder Baiqiong curled his lips in disdain and slapped at the sword radiance. As Elder Baiqiong waved his hand, a terrifying wave of saint power began to gather on his palm. Then, Elder Baiqiong waved his hand and blasted out a huge palm shadow, which collided with the sword radiance. What surprised everyone was that when the palm shadow and the sword radiance collided, there was no energy fluctuation at all. Before everyone could react, they saw the sword radiance mysteriously pierce through the palm shadow. The sword radiance pierced through the palm shadow, but its attack did not decrease at all. It continued to attack Elder Baiqiong. What's going on? Elder Baiqiong was terrified when he saw the sword radiance piercing through the palm shadow and continuing to attack him. Elder Baiqiong did not dare to be careless and immediately dodged the sword radiance's attack. Just as Elder Baiqiong was about to dodge, a cold voice sounded. "Old man, where do you think you're going? Take another attack from me." As soon as he finished speaking, Elder Baiqiong sensed that his path of retreat was blocked by a sword radiance. Elder Baiqiong's face paled when he saw this. His eyes flashed with fear. He had nowhere to run. He could only take the sword radiance head-on. "Kid, you're looking down on me too much. Do you really think I can't block your sword radiance?" Elder Baiqiong's face twisted when he saw that he had nowhere to run. He slapped at the sword radiance in front of him. But what shocked Elder Baiqiong was that even though he used all his strength, he still could not disperse the sword radiance. The sword radiance pierced through the palm shadow and smashed into Elder Baiqiong's body, exploding with a terrifying power. Slash. A hideous wound appeared on Elder Baiqiong's chest after being hit by the sword radiance. Elder Baiqiong's body flew backward. He spat out a large mouthful of blood, and his aura rapidly weakened. Seeing Elder Baiqiong's pitiful state, the surrounding people were all stunned, and they all stood rooted to the ground. The experts who were rushing towards Mo Qingyun also stopped and looked at Mo Qingyun with fear. This scene came so quickly that they were not prepared at all. Am I seeing things? That kid injured Elder Baiqiong with a single sword strike? Although it was a bit unexpected, that boy's strength is indeed extremely frightening. No wonder he's not afraid at all. His true battle prowess is already close to the half-step martial emperor realm. The onlookers sighed. Mo Qingyun glanced at the crowd and said, "Who else wants to take the purple firmament Saint Power? You can come and try." Hearing Mo Qingyun's arrogant words, the surrounding people fell silent, their eyes flashing with intense fear. While the crowd looked at each other, Elder Baiqiong steadied himself and looked coldly at Mo Qingyun. He shouted angrily, "Boy, how dare you injure me? I'll skin you alive!" Elder Baiqiong roared. His figure flickered as he charged toward Mo Qingyun. "You're courting death." Seeing Elder Baiqiong's actions, Emo Qingyun's face turned cold, and he took the initiative to meet him. He needed to make an example out of Elder Bai Qiong, and Elder Bai Qiong was courting death. Space Gate. Time Gate. When Emo Qingyun's figure moved, he no longer held back and activated the Gate of Creation. Soon, 2 doors of light with mysterious auras formed beside him and entered his body. Spatial Confinement Law. Time Reversal Law. When the 2 light gates entered his body, Emo Qingyun's lips curled into a faint smile. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he arrived in front of Elder Bai Qiong and slashed at him. Then, an even sharper sword light blasted out from the 9-bull divine sword. The sword light flashed and arrived in front of Elder Bai Qiong, slashing at him fiercely. With the previous lesson, Elder Bai Qiong did not dare to face the sword light head-on again. Double spatial confinement. Seeing that Elder Bai Qiong was about to dodge, Emo Qingyun laughed sinisterly and released the power of the law. Then, the space around Elder Bai Qiong was restrained by a domineering force. Spatial Confinement Law. Elder Bai Qiong's expression changed when he sensed that the space around him had been sealed, and his eyes flashed with shock. This was because he realized that Emo Qingyun's spatial confinement law was a little different from usual. After a brief moment of panic, Elder Bai Qiong used all his strength to break through the confinement of the law. However, before he could break through the confinement, the sword light approached and slashed at his head. Knowing that Emo Qingyun's sword light was strange, Elder Bai Qiong was terrified and instinctively cried out. However, his panicked cry did not stop Emo Qingyun from attacking him. The sword light flashed and pierced through Elder Bai Qiong's body, leaving behind a hideous wound. Then, Elder Bai Qiong spat out blood again, and his aura became even weaker. Everyone was stunned when they saw that Elder Bai Qiong was seriously injured again. They could not believe what they were seeing. Elder Bai Qiong was seriously injured by his sword again? Is he really that strong? The first time might be a fluke, but the second time might not be. This kid's strength is indeed terrifying. From the looks of it, even a quasi-emperor powerhouse might not be able to do anything to him. Fortunately, I did not make a move. Otherwise, I would have ended up in a miserable state. After seeing Emo Qingyun's strength, everyone immediately dispelled their thoughts about him. Seeing everyone's fear, Elder Bai Qiong did not dare to attack again. He wanted to retreat. This kid is too strong. I'm not his match. I have to leave this place immediately. Elder Bai Qiong knew very well that if he continued to oppose Emo Qingyun, he might very well die here. Since he wanted to retreat, Elder Bai Qiong did not dare to stay any longer. He turned around and prepared to escape. Where do you think you're going? Seeing that Elder Bai Qiong was about to escape, Emo Qingyun's expression turned cold and immediately chased after him. When Emo Qingyun chased after him, he also released the law of time reversal to prevent Elder Bai Qiong from escaping. Under the law of time reversal, Elder Bai Qiong returned to his original position after taking a step. Seeing this, Elder Bai Qiong's expression trembled and his eyes were filled with panic. Brother, spare! Seeing that he could not escape, Elder Bai Qiong immediately pleaded with Emo Qingyun. However, Emo Qingyun completely ignored his pleas and slashed down at him with his sword. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.